Chapter 4569. Also, I guess he is not an ordinary saint. Thinking of this, Han Jiang became even more desperate. And the reason why he thinks this way is because Zhao Enya's status in Qingyun Sacred Sect is too high. He is the #1 person in Qingyun Sacred Sect. If he can personally go out to capture him, how can the people behind him be ordinary saints? After 3 months, you will naturally see that person. Zhao Ani spoke calmly, not bothering to explain to Han Jiang. From the ending of the half-sage of the Fu family, it is not difficult to see that it is absolutely impossible for Mr. Duan Lingtian to spare Han Jiang's life. Senior Zhao. Han Jiang was frightened to the extreme, trembling in his heart, and begged, "Can you see me, and even the Han family, have been working hard for Qingyun Shangzong, and give me a way out? If Senior is willing to give me a way out, Han Jiang will spare no effort to work for Senior in the future. He is not stupid either. The 2 half-sages of the Fu family are dead. If he is brought back by Zhao Ani, he will definitely have no way out, and I am afraid he can only live for 3 months at most." That was not what he wanted. Now, he only hoped that the person in front of him would spare him. In his opinion, even if the other party is a powerful saint, as long as Zhao Ani is willing to protect him, he can still be protected. After all, Zhao Ani is also a veteran saint, and saints whose strength can be seen outside the world are all top-ranked existences. Unfortunately, he never dreamed of the person who forced Zhao Ani to arrest him would be an existence above the saint. If he knew, he would never have promised Fu Liangming of the Fu family to snipe and kill Duan Yuwei, the half-sage of Yu Yi. Zhao Ani, who ignored Han Jiang and even felt that Han Jiang was annoying, even sealed Han Jiang's mouth and consciousness, and he couldn't even transmit the sound, but at the same time he also received a summons. It was his nephew Guilin who sent the message. "Uncle, Tuoba Lianqing is not in his training ground, and at the same time I saw the text of heaven. I got some clues about the whereabouts of Tuoba Lianqing. Next, I should go to find the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first, or go to the Tuoba Lianqing?" Guilin asked. The words of Heaven's Tao are related to the new entrance of Tongtian Tower, which is very important to his uncle Zhao Enlin. On the contrary, he, even a saint, is not very sure that he can pass the test of the Tongtian Tower and get the Heavenly Tao amulet. Moreover, even if he got the Heavenly Tao talisman, he could not step into the Forbidden Realm for the time being. Although his fire law has comprehended the state of Dzogchen, the Tao of the Sword has just stepped into the 6th level when he broke through to become a saint last time, and there is still a long way to go from the 7th level. If you want to step into the taboo realm, you must have a law of great perfection, a 7th level of the 4 ways of heaven and earth. This is the most basic threshold. However, although he was not in a hurry, he had to think about his uncle. "You go to Tuoba Lianqing." On Zhao Enya's side, he quickly responded to Guilin. "I will arrange for people to search for the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I will take Han Jiang back to the sect now. After I go back and make arrangements, I will also go out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower myself. Within 3 months, you must bring Tuoba Lianqing back to the sect." Zhao Enya's tone was extraordinarily dignified in the last sentence of the interrogation. "Although I can attract the taboo realm's catastrophe at any time, if I'm not prepared, even if I have 3 heavenly talismans, I'm not very sure. Also, for the time being, I don't know how difficult it is to get the Heavenly Tao talisman in Tongtian Tower, and I don't necessarily have to get the Heavenly Tao talisman. We can't afford to offend Duan Lingtian." Hearing this, Guilin quickly responded that he would definitely bring Tuoba Lianqing back to Qingyun Sacred Sect within 3 months. After Zhao Ani brought Han Jiang back to Qingyun Sacred Sect, he immediately imprisoned him by means, and at the same time sent a semi-sacred guard who was not weaker than him. "You must keep an eye on him. If he escapes, the sect may be in danger." Zhao Ani said to the half-sage he had arranged, that this half-sage is his disciple and he can be completely trusted, but he still gave a serious order. "Master, don't worry, unless I die he can't leave the sect." The half-saint respectfully responded, "If he wants to escape, you can kill him, but the body must be well preserved." At least 3 months later, people can see his appearance clearly and see that he was a semi-holy before he died. Zhao Ani added a sentence, and these words fell into Han Jiang's ears, and Han Jiang's complexion became paler with fright. He knew in his heart that whether he would survive in the future would depend entirely on the mood of the saint who came to the door 3 months later. However, he is already mentally prepared, and when the time comes, he will put all the responsibility on Fu Liangming of the Fu family. He is just paying Fu Liangming a favor, and if the other party can spare his life, he is willing to be a slave for the maid. In this way, the other party may not necessarily kill him. After arranging Han Jiang, Zhao Ani began to give orders to let most of the semi-sages in the sect go out to inquire about the news of the new Tongtian Tower entrance. At the same time, he also planned to leave. However, what he didn't expect was that, before he left Qingyun Sacred Sect's region, there would be a strong man from outside the domain who came across the domain and directly sent a message to greet him and communicate with him. The person who came was the sage from Bibo Tianfu who never saw his end, and was also his old friend. Many people thought that this old guy was dead, but they didn't expect that he was still alive. This old guy is older than him, and the last 10,000-year catastrophe almost killed him. Xiao Zhao, have you seen the text of Heaven's Tao? If you have any news about the entrance of the new Tongtian Tower, please let me know immediately. After that, everyone should remove the sound barrier. The old voice transmission reached Zhao Enyas' ears. As for Zhao Ani, after hearing what the old man said, he smiled wryly. He had so many things to arrange, but he completely forgot about it. Old Meng, thanks to your reminder. Otherwise, I would have forgotten about the sound transmission barrier. In the land outside the boundary, there are not only formations to isolate the sound transmission, so that the sound transmission from the outer domain is not allowed to enter the edge of the area ruled by the major saint forces. The sound transmission on my side can't get out either. Now, the strong man in Bibo Tianfu has just crossed the region so that he can be contacted by sound transmission. Well, if there is any news from my side, I will contact you as soon as possible. Old Meng said. Next, I will go out and look around in person to see if I can find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. There was a bit of urgency in the tone. As for the other party's urgency for the entrance to Tongtian Tower, Zhao Ani can understand. After all, if you can't go further and step into the 7th level of Xian, the next 10,000 years of catastrophe will be the death of the other party. I remember. This one in Bibo Tianfu, the last 10,000 years tribulation was ushered in 9,000 years ago, right? No wonder you're so impatient. If there is no way to go further, he will not have 1,000 years to live. Chapter 45-70. Time is ruthless. Before the Tongtian Tower appeared, even if they were as strong as saints and Jesuin, they were helpless in the face of the 10,000 years of catastrophe against the strongest who were getting stronger every time. They could only wait for death, because they couldn't take the next step. The next step is no different from being broken. For example, Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu, who was seriously injured in the 10,000 years of heavenly tribulation 9,000 years ago, survived by luck and saved his life. Took thousands of years to recover. Over the years, after recovering from his injuries, he never appeared in front of people again. Many people outside thought that he had died of serious injuries. However, none of them knew that he was making his last effort. He has a crazy plan. Although this plan can be carried out even by saints and world venerables like him, few people have the courage to carry it out. That is, before the next mortal catastrophe of 10,000 years comes, step into the forbidden realm, face the taboo realm of catastrophe, and see if there is a chance to live to death. The catastrophe of the taboo realm has changed people's faces. In the history of the outer worlds and 10,000 realms, there are many powerful people who have faced the catastrophe of the taboo realm, but they all died miserably. No one survived the taboo realm catastrophe. Occasionally, some invincible high-ranking gods also took that crucial step, leading to taboos and catastrophes, and finally ended in death. Some people deliberately stay in the realm of high-ranking gods and want to face the weaker taboo realm of heavenly calamity, so as not to be almost dead after becoming the strongest. However, it still failed and had no way out. The Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu is actually not sure, he just wants to fight, make the last effort, and want to bloom the afterglow. If you don't fight, you are waiting to die. If you fight hard, you may die, but if you can live to death, you will be reborn from nirvana, just like living another life. Can live who wants to die. I don't have the courage of Meng Lao for the time being. After returning to Qingyun's sacred sect and ordering the people below to put away the four-way sound transmission barrier, Zhao Ani went on the road again, looking for other entrances to Tongtian Tower. In the previous 10,000 years tribulation, he was only slightly injured. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he is sure to survive. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he may be powerless. So he still has time. There is no urgency to step into the taboo realm, and more plans to wait and see for a while, to see if there will be a few more extreme 7th level in the land outside the world and the world. Now, there are many people who think like Zhao Ani. The most anxious person is still like the old Meng of Bibo Tianfu, who is not sure how to deal with the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. After setting off on the road, Zhao Ani received many messages from old friends one after another, and they were all communicating with him, asking him to tell them if he found the entrance to Tongtian Tower. If they find it first, they will share it too. Zhao Ani readily agreed. To Zhao Enya's surprise, there was another summons, which was also sent to him by a saint who was older than him. Xiao Zhao, if you find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, please say hello to me. The person who sent this message stepped into the Supreme Being, not much later than Meng Lao from Bibo Tianfu. The most important is, 2,000 years ago, the other party almost died under the 10,000 years calamity. Now, it is estimated that they have not recovered yet. Old Wang, your injury has healed? Zhao Ani was shocked. He never expected that this person would also come out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. He recovered from his injuries and was going to enter Tongtian Tower to get the amulet of the Tao of Heaven, and then hit the heavenly tribulation of the promotion realm? My injury is still not healed. The other party sent a message again, with a somewhat helpless tone. However, another old friend of mine sent a message to ask me to pay attention to the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I am asking for directions for him. Xiao Zhao, don't worry, even if I don't need the location of the entrance of Tongtian Tower in a hurry, I have already agreed with him. If he finds it, he should tell me and I will let you know. He had to be helpless. The 10,000 years tribulation 2,000 years ago almost killed him. Until now, the injury has only recovered a little bit. From now on, without thousands of years, it is almost impossible to recover. Even if he now knows where the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is, he will not dare to enter the Tongtian Tower until he recovers from his injuries. He doesn't want to fall into it without getting the heavenly Tao talisman. Even if there is no fear of his life, it would be a waste of time to get the amulet of heaven, and it might aggravate his injuries. He can't take the risk. Okay, Mr. Wang. Zhao Ani suddenly realized that he thought that the other party had some kind of great opportunity to heal the severe injuries suffered in that catastrophe in such a short period of time. It turned out that it was just asking for directions for others. When Zhao Ani started to move, in the land outside the realm, almost all the saint forces have also moved. Even those saints who practiced casually also took action. Some people want to enter Tongtian Tower by themselves. Some people, it is to help others find a new entrance to Tongtian Tower. The Tongtian Tower, as before, stood above the central sea area of the outer boundary, and did not leave. Here you can still enter the Tongtian Tower. What the Tao of Heaven opens is nothing but other entrances directly leading to the interior of Tongtian Tower. Xiaotian. Tian Dao did a really good job this time. Not only opened more than 30 entrances, but even explained that after they leave Tongtian Tower, they will be indiscriminately teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms. A cold light flashed in Feng Qingyang's eyes, and his tone was quite unfriendly. This is for them to relieve their worries. I'm afraid that if they come out from here, I will kill them? Not just Breezy. Even Duan Lingtian didn't look too good looking. He also just came back from Chimo Ridge. Before the appearance of the heavenly Tao characters, he never thought that he would come to his master again so soon. However, soon Duan Lingtian seemed to have thought of something. His face calmed down, and he smiled calmly. Master, even if the way of heaven is like this, if you think about it, you will definitely not exterminate those saints and world venerables without a reason. So you don't need to be angry. Just let them into their babble. He knew that his master was not someone who killed indiscriminately for no reason. Now that he was angry, he felt that the way of heaven was unfair, and he didn't spill his grievances on those saints and Jesuin. After all, those people are just pawns in the eyes of Tian Dao. You and I, master and apprentice, have traveled all the way, faced up to the strong, and have achieved today's achievements. In this world, there are more existences that surpass saints and world venerables. For us, isn't it a spur? After Duan Lingtian finished speaking, before Feng Qingyang could speak, he received an unexpected message. The message was sent by Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu. Master Duan Lingtian, Mr. Meng of our Bibo Tianfu is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower. Now that the Heavenly Tao has added a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower, I don't know if we can let him go to the main entrance of the Central Sea area? This is the first time Xiao Tianxi has contacted Duan Lingtian, who has stepped into the Xian realm, and the title has completely changed, and Duan Lingtian is respected as my lord. He is relatively familiar with Duan Lingtian, and he has also been to Nishan realm later, so he naturally knows that the strong man guarding the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, Feng Qingyang, is Duan Lingshan's master. Now, the entrances of the Tongtian Tower are blooming everywhere, and there is no news about other entrances for the time being. He wants to ask the way for their Bibo Tianfis Meng Lao, whether he can use the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower and enter the Tongtian Tower first. Chapter 4571. In the sound transmission, Xiao Tianxi expressed very clearly that Bibo Tianfu, the most powerful man Meng Lao, who many people don't know exists, is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower to obtain the Heavenly Tao Talisman, and he wants to fight for the second life. Regarding this old Meng, when Duan Lingtian was in Bibo Tianfu in the past, he heard people mention it. Many people thought he was dead, and some people thought he was still alive, hiding in the dark and guarding Bibo Tianfu. Now it seems that he is still alive. However, it has come to the end. At least, if the Tongtian Tower does not appear, he will not have many years to live, and he will surely die if the strongest catastrophe comes within 1,000 years. Some time ago, the Tongtian Tower appeared, and Feng Qingyang blocked the way. Although this old Meng wanted to enter the Tongtian Tower, he had no choice but to return because he was afraid of Feng Qingyang's strength. Later, when he learned that Feng Qingyang's disciple was the first Duan Lingtian who survived the taboo realm of heavenly calamity after the historical segregation, and that Duan Lingtian had a relationship with Bibo Tianfu, he asked Xiao Tianxi to find Duan Lingtian, hoping that he could enter Tongtian Tower of Opportunity. Xiao Tianxi had contacted Duan Lingtian at the time, but because Duan Lingtian was not in the Outer Realm and the Nishan realm, he had no way to send a message to contact Duan Lingtian. Instead, he found Feng Qingyang, but Feng Qingyang didn't buy it because he wasn't sure if the other party really had a relationship with his disciple Duan Lingtian. Let's talk about it after you contact Xiao Tian. This was Feng Qingyang's response to Xiao Tianxi at that time. Therefore, now that Duan Lingtian passed on Xiao Tianxi's message, Feng Qingyang also shook his head and smiled. The person you mentioned once came to me in the past, saying that he had an old relationship with you. Let me take it for your sake and give him that an opportunity for an elder to enter Tongtian Tower. I was worried that he was a liar, so I ignored him and asked him to contact you. Hearing Master's words, Duan Lingtian smiled. He did not expect Xiao Tianxi, the majestic master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu, to be regarded as a liar by his master. Immediately afterwards, Feng Qingyang said again, "Since it is indeed someone you know, you just ask him to call his elders over. Now that there are so many new entrances to the Tongtian Tower, it is impossible for us to restrict them from entering the Tongtian Tower. I didn't think about killing people, just like you said. As a person, I can't do that kind of thing. Besides, I guard the Tongtian Tower, and I don't have any opinions on them, let alone fear that they will go further and have strength comparable to mine. In my whole life, the thing I'm most afraid of is competition. I guard the Tongtian Tower, but I am venting my dissatisfaction with the way of heaven. Why do I have to rely on myself to break through the forbidden realm and the catastrophe to achieve what I am today? But they can take shortcuts." Hearing this, Duan Lingtian knew that after so many years, the master is still the same master, has not changed, and is not afraid of competition, but the backbone is also tough. I'll tell him. Duan Lingtian nodded and sent a message to Xiao Tianxi. Master, there is no need to be so polite between you and me, right? Isn't it a bit distant when you call adult? Just let that person come over directly. In addition, you should contact the 2 saints of Qingyun sect. Tell them that if they finish what I told them, they can also walk through the main entrance of Tongtian Tower. Duan Lingtian thought of the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect and wanted to stimulate them, make them work harder and work for themselves without any slack. Haha, that's not being polite. Xiao Tianxi quickly responded. My lord, I yelled out willingly. When I can catch up with you, I will change my address. Thanks. After Xiao Tianxi received Duan Lingtian's response, he immediately contacted the old Meng from Bibo Tianfu and told him that he could go directly to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, and he had already said hello there. That's how you say hello? Meng Lao was a little surprised, but at the same time he was a little more cautious. Godsend boy, is this reliable? Duan Lingtian, isn't he fishing with his master? Xiao Tianxi smiled wryly. Old Meng, even if they want to fish, they don't need to use you as a knife. You know, that Lord Duan Lingtian still has the status of our Golden Dragon Hall disciple. You don't have to worry about it. For Duan Lingtian, he is still very relieved, and it is absolutely impossible to fool him on this matter. Okay, I'll go there. In fact, Mr. Meng also felt that the other party didn't need to catch him like this, but just wanted to seek peace of mind, so he asked a little more, and he immediately turned, heading towards the direction of Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. He is no stranger there. After Tongtian Pagoda appeared last time, he passed by immediately, but seeing that the Jesuin of the upper 3 realms didn't get any benefits, he could only sigh helplessly and go back. The wind is light, too strong. Can't afford it. After greeting Mr. Meng, Xiao Tianxi thought for a while, and muttered to himself, now, should the Qingyun sect also close the sound transmission barrier? As soon as he thought about it, he sent a sound transmission to an old friend of the Qingyun sacred sect, an existence of the strongest 4th rank, whose strength was close to that of a semi-sage, and his status in the Qingyun sacred sect was quite high. He greeted the other party and relayed Duan Lingtian's words. Duan Lingtian? Hearing Xiao Tianxi's message, the other party gasped. He also knew about the fact that Duan Lingtian had killed 2 half-sages of the Fu family and 1 half-sage of Qingyun sect today. At the same time, he also knew that the other party made a move to overwhelm the 2 great saints of Qingyun sect. If the other party is willing, they can use their own strength to destroy Qingyun sacred sect. Old Xiao, are you very familiar with Duan Lingtian? The other party summoned and asked. He had not contacted this old friend for many years, and he couldn't help but be surprised when he received the other party's summons many years later. Okay, Xiao Tianxi responded, and then focused on the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Bibo Tianfu before he passed through the forbidden realm of heavenly calamity. Old Xiao, your luck is invincible, to be able to have a relationship with such an existence in advance. The Qingyun sacred sect's tone was full of envy, and at the same time, thinking of something that his uncle told him today, he couldn't help asking, Old Xiao, this Lingtian is not related to the semi-sacred forces under your Qingyun sacred sect. What's the relationship with Duan Yuwei's half-sage? The saint of Qingyun sect didn't know about Duan Yuwei's existence, but he did. Knowing that the semi-sage Han Jiang was captured and suppressed by the sect, and waiting for Duan Lingtian to come over, he knew the ins and outs of the matter, so it was not difficult for him to guess that Duan Lingtian and Duan Yuwei had a close relationship. Duan Lingtian once entered the Duan family, and was recognized as a younger brother by that half-sage Yu Yi. Xiao Tianxi replied. In the past, Duan Lingtian had specifically approached him and asked him to help take care of the Duan family, so he later learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Duan family. Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Xiao Tianxi asked curiously. I see. The people on the Qingyun sacred sect side gasped, and then told Xiao Tianxi what Duan Lingtian had done in the Qingyun sacred sect area today, because the news hadn't spread, and Xiao Tianxi hadn't had time to know. Xiao Tianxi couldn't help sighing when he heard the words. It seems that he really regards Duan Yuwei as his god-sister. he decided to treat the Duan family more kindly in the future. Chapter 4572. Xiao Tianxi's old friend in Qingyun's sect, while chatting with Xiao Tianxi, also sent a message to his uncle. His uncle was exactly the disciple of Zhao Ani, the #1 sage of the Qingyun sect. He contacted his master as soon as he got the content of Xiao Tianxi's message from his nephew. Xiao Tianxi from Bibo Tianfu? Zhao Ani was looking for the entrance of the Tongtian pagoda outside, and he couldn't help being a little surprised when he suddenly received a message from his disciples. Bibo Tianfu, do you still have such a connection with Master Duan Lingtian? Bibo Tianfu, how could there be such luck? Zhao Ani was so jealous that he went crazy. However, that Lord Duan Lingtian didn't forget me and Guilin after all, and was willing to open the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda for me and Guilin. And that Lord Feng Qingyang is actually his master? The two 7th-level Xians that appeared after the historical break came from one of the realms of the 10,000 realms, which is already shocking enough. What made him even more unexpected was that Feng Qingyang was actually Duan Lingshan's master. This news took him by surprise. At the same time, he also learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Yui half-saint Duan Yuwei, as well as Duan Yuwei's origin from the message sent by his disciples. He felt more and more that the members of the Fu family, as well as Han Jiang and Tuoba Lianqing, had no eyesight, and even dared to kill such a terrifying god-sister. Guilin. Soon, Zhao Ani sent a message to Guilin, who was looking for Tuoba Lianqing, and at the same time solemnly reminded, "You don't have to worry about the Tongtian Tower. What you have to do now is to find Tuoba Lianqing as soon as possible. Are there any other clues about Tuoba Lianqing? If I need to go there, I can go there at any time." After greeting Guilin, Zhao Ani didn't intend to continue looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower, but he didn't go back to the Qingyun sacred sect, but walked towards the Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. When he arrived near Tongtian Pagoda, he happened to meet Meng Lao, the sage of Bibo Tianfu. Old Meng. After so many years, seeing this old man again, Zhao Ani couldn't help but sigh. Back then, when he was still young, this one was a big shot in Bibo Tianfu, and he had stepped into the realm of the strongest. This is a living fossil. Xiao Zhao? Old Meng, an old man in a Taoist robe with a fairy-like appearance and a childlike face, was also surprised when he saw Zhao Ani. "Are you also going to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda?" "Yes." Zhao Ani nodded. "I heard from my disciples that Lord Duan Lingtian authorized me and Guilin to enter the Tongtian Tower through the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower. However, I don't plan to go in for the time being. I'm planning to come over to thank Lord Duan Lingtian and pay a visit to Lord Feng Qingyang by the way." He already knew Duan Lingtian, but Feng Qingyang didn't know him yet. Although he had seen Feng Qingyang last time, he only dared to wait and see from a distance. Seeing that Jiezun from the upper 3 realms was frightened back, he also retreated. Feng Qingyang, but like Duan Lingtian, who is above the saints in Jiezun, if he has the opportunity to get acquainted, he naturally doesn't want to miss the opportunity. In a short period of time, he has not planned to enter the Tongtian Tower, and plans to wait and see for a while. "You must not be in a hurry. Last time, I heard that you still have the strength to spare." Elder Meng sighed with emotion, and then smiled wryly. "But, I'm different from you, I don't have much time. I just want to enter Tongtian Tower as soon as possible and get those 3 heavenly Dao talismans. I don't know how difficult the level in the Tongtian Tower is, but I think it's definitely not too easy. To get something, I'm afraid you have to pay some price, and you may even be injured. I want to get the heavenly Dao talisman as soon as possible, then come out to recuperate, and then step into the forbidden realm before the next 10,000 years of catastrophe comes. The realm of taboo is the 7th level of Xian. As long as he steps in smoothly, his strength will be greatly improved, and it will be easy to face the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. In the future, I can live for a long time. On the side of Tongtian Tower, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang are still there. Soon, Zhao Ani and the two came hand in hand. "You came so soon? Did someone catch you?" Seeing Zhao Ani, Duan Lingtian was a little surprised. He didn't expect this guy to come over so quickly. Did he already capture those two half-sages? Master Duan Ling Tian. Zhaoani greeted him respectfully and then said bluntly, I have already captured Han Jiang. Guilin has gone to find Tuoba Lianxing, and it won't take long to catch him. I'm not here to enter the Tongtian Tower, but mainly to thank you for giving me the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower from here. Zhaoani said, It's okay, my master doesn't plan to stay here for a long time. At most 10 days and a half months, he will leave here. Duan Lingtian said that after 10 days and a half a month, more than half of the other 35 entrances of Tongtian Tower will definitely be found, and it will be meaningless to guard here again. Qingyun's sacred sect Zhaoani. I have met Master Feng Qingyang. Although he knew that both Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were younger than him, Zhaoani still didn't dare to neglect him, and kept saying hello respectfully. Next, although he also has the opportunity to step into the 7th level of the strongest and stand shoulder to shoulder with the two people in front of him, he knows in his heart that with the terrifying talents of the two opponents, it is impossible for his future achievements to stop at the 7th level of the strongest. After all, these are the two beings who can survive the taboo realm without the talisman of heaven. Feng Qingyang survived the taboo realm of catastrophe with the cultivation base of a middle-level god, although there is an element of trickery, but which middle level can successfully pass the law without fear of 1,000 years of catastrophe before becoming a high-level god. To comprehend the Dzogchen, and comprehend the 4 ways of heaven and earth to the 7th level. Feng Qingyang's achievement, I am afraid that no one can repeat it, and there will be no successor. Such a character will be absolutely extraordinary in the future. Meng Han, I have seen 2 adults. Elder Meng of Bibo Tianfu also spoke, and his posture was also very low. How could he not think of what Zhaoani could think of? Although Duan Lingtian has some connections with their Bibo Tianfu, he also knows that it is for Shao Tian's face, and the other party doesn't need to give him face now. Old Meng, the palace master has already greeted me. You just go directly to Tongtian Tower. Duan Lingtian nodded to Meng Han, not alienated, but not enthusiastic either. After all, it was his first contact with Meng Han, and just as the other party thought, it was all for Shao Tian's sake. Go! Feng Qingyang also saw Meng Han's eagerness to try, and said with a faint smile, I'm afraid you are the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower since the Tongtian Tower appeared. Thank you 2 adults for your success. Meng Han was very excited, and after he finished speaking, he dodged into the Tongtian Tower. Tongtian Tower has been open for a while, and today finally ushered in the first passerby. Chapter 4573. Zhaoani stayed for a while, chatted with Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang with a shy face, and finally took his leave and left. He made it clear to Duan Lingtian that when he goes back this time, he will cooperate with his nephew, Guilin, another saint of Qingyun's sacred sect, to find that Tuoba Lianxing. After finding out the other party, send a message to Duan Lingtian immediately. For this reason, he asked Duan Lingtian for a soul orb to facilitate communication. After Zhaoani left, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang, and left here, returning to Nishan realm. When he returned to the god-defying realm, he immediately went to the secular plane where his family and friends were housed in the past, and found his family and relatives, but many of them were no longer in the secular plane. Only his parents, his wife Li Fei, Feng Wudao and Feng Tianhua's father and daughter remained in this secular plane. Feng Wudao went out a few days ago and is not here for now. Shao Tian, the person who announced the text of the Tao of Heaven, is really you? Isn't it the same name and surname? Seeing Duan Lingxin's return, Duan Ruffing and Li Ro were surprised and curious about it. Although they vaguely felt that it should be their son, they didn't dare to confirm it 100% before confirming it, but they all agreed that if it was their son, they should be back soon. Sure enough, he came back. Congratulations, husband. Congratulations, brother Tian. The 2 daughters, Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, looked at Duan Lingtian with affection and intoxicating eyes. This is their man. With such achievements, it finally made them feel at ease. Before that, although they didn't say anything on the surface, they were unavoidably worried in their hearts. After all, the road to the strong is full of difficulties and obstacles, And what they don't know is that they are often accompanied by life and death. However, they can't help, they can only worry at home. From today onwards, you don't have to hide anymore. Duan Lingtian looked at the two daughters with tenderness in his eyes. Over the years, he had indeed wronged them, and he finally healed Kier smoothly. Immediately afterwards, the four of them asked about Kier's situation. After all, they all knew that a large part of the reason why Duan Lingtian worked so hard was to cure Kier. Kier's soul imprisonment has been lifted by Master first. After I broke through, I went to the Xia family, the land of the gods, and then sent her into the small world inside my body. Then, he sent his parents, Li Fei, and Feng Tianwu into the small world inside his body, and asked them to visit his wife, Kier, who hadn't woken up yet. Kier is in good condition now. With the blessing of the divine tree of life and the divine water of purifying the world in my body, I will definitely be able to wake up in a few years at most. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, the four were relieved. Kier was the first to follow Duan Lingtian. At that time, even Duan Ruffing was still missing. She got along very well with Li Ro, as close as a mother and daughter. Li Ro breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. I'll wait for this girl to wake up. Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, who had already become sisters with Kier, also breathed a sigh of relief. Duan Ruffing, Li Ro and his wife quickly urged Duan Lingtian to accompany Li Fei and Feng Tianwu. Now that Kier is fine, it's time to give Tianwu a title. Hearing the voice transmission from his parents, Duan Lingtian nodded secretly. A few days after returning, Feng Wudao came back. Uncle Feng. Duan Lingtian greeted him respectfully. Even though he is now very powerful, he did not ask for favors with this elder. Not to mention that this elder is the father of the confidant Feng Tianwu. Even in the past, on his growth path, this elder also did not miss help. Xiao Tian. Seeing Duan Lingtian, Feng Wudao was also surprised. At the same time, he asked about the heavenly Tao text that appeared some time ago, and when he learned that it was indeed Duan Lingtian, he burst into laughter. Ha ha. Okay. I really didn't expect that you can go to that step, surpassing all the strong men in the world and the land outside the world. Only your master can stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Feng Wudao laughed. He was really happy for Duan Lingtian. This is his future son-in-law. Is Ku'er all right? Facing Feng Wudao's inquiry, Duan Lingtian quickly responded, and at the same time changed the subject and said to Feng Wudao, Uncle Feng, what my parents mean is, recently proposed marriage to you, officially giving Tianwu a title. Hearing this, Feng Wudao was stunned for a moment, and then his smile became brighter. Okay. I'll wait for them to propose marriage. Does that girl Tianwu know? If she knows, she must be very happy. Feng Tianwu is his daughter and the only relative at present. He is naturally happy from the bottom of his heart that his daughter can find a good home. Uncle Feng. Before Duan Lingtian could continue, Feng Wudao interrupted with a smile. Xiaotan, it's time to change your mind, right? Father-in-law. Duan Lingtian changed his words with a smile, and then told Feng Wudao about his next plan. He was going to find Xiao Mubai, the master of the Nishan realm, and others in order to control a plane of the gods. With his current strength, he doesn't even need to risk the entire small world inside his body. He only needs to separate a small half of the small world inside his body, which is enough to turn into a plane of the gods no smaller than the plane of the gods today. At that time, if you are willing to stay in the small world in my body and accompany me, then stay in it. If you want to take it outside, you can stay in the plane of the gods transformed into a small world inside my body, which is absolutely safe. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Feng Wudao's eyes lit up immediately, because it also meant that he could go to the plane of the gods, which was the place he was looking forward to very much. Duan Lingtian waited for half a month. Someone is back. It was Huaner who came back. Seeing Huaner again, Duan Lingtian was very surprised. This girl was already a superior god. Seeing her return after a long journey, it was obviously because of seeing the words of the way of heaven. Phantom. Looking at the beautiful figure that he hadn't seen for many years, he called out Brother Tian, turned into a gust of fragrant wind and threw himself into his arms, Duan Lingshan's heart trembled, and at the same time he sighed secretly. This girl, even with the layout of the god-defying beasts in the past, she has worked very hard to get to this point. As for why she worked so hard, he naturally knew. Can't help feeling distressed. You are hurt. Soon, Duan Lingtian discovered that Huaner had internal injuries, and the injuries were serious. Even the small world in her body was fragmented and crumbling. Immediately, his expression darkened, and he asked Huaner, who hurt her? Through Huaner's mouth, Duan Lingtian also knew. Some time ago, when Huaner saw the Tiandao text announced by Tiandao, she immediately thought it was him, so she wanted to come back, but she happened to be targeted by someone at that time, and she managed to escape after a big fight. The other party is a descendant of a semi-holy power, a woman, and the reason why she attacked Huaner was because she felt that Huaner was wearing a veil to play tricks, so seeing Huaner was not pleasing to the eye. Chapter 4574. Duan Lingtian took out the healing elixir, gave it to Huaner, healed Huaner, and let the life god tree and Jingshi Shinshui in his body take action, and quickly recovered most of the injury. For the rest, it takes time to recover. If you think about it, for a few months at most, you can restore Huaner to its heyday. During this process, Duan Lingtian also discovered a mark of divine consciousness on Huaner's body. Obviously, someone used superb soul means to put a mark on Huaner's body. If Huaner is in a place outside the border, as long as the distance is a certain distance, the opponent can lock the approximate location of Huaner. He wiped it away. Huaner, the person who hurt you is someone from a semi-holy force in the outer world? After treating Huaner, Duan Lingshan's eyes were full of anger. He hadn't been this angry for a long time. The damned person hurt Huaner to such a degree. If it weren't for the layout of the god-defying beasts, which had left some life-saving cards for the descendant of Huaner, Huaner would have died without a life this time. Brother Tian, don't rush to avenge me. You have just come back. First spend time with Uncle Feng, Aunt Ro, and Sister Feier and Sister Tianwu. Huaner was as sensible as before, but the more sensible he was, the more distressed Duan Lingtian was. It's okay, it'll take you there and I can solve this matter within a day. With his current strength, his speed is astonishing, and it is easy to cross space. It will not take long to reach the outside world, or even cross the entire outside world. Within one day, it is enough to easily reach the other side from one side of the outer worlds. The Xuanli sect is a semi-sacred sect in the Fengshen realm, attached to the saint force, Huaiyue Tianzong, because there is not only a semi-sage in the Xuanli sect, but also a quasi-sacred who is only one step away from the semi-sacred, so the Xuanli sect is quite valued by the Huaiyue Tianzong. At this time, in the Xuanli sect, an old woman suddenly frowned, and then muttered to herself, "Someone actually removed the imprint of my divine sense that I left on that lowly maidservant? The one who shoots is either the invincible high-ranking god, or the strongest. She is still very confident in her means. I really didn't expect that behind her. There are such missions. I need to talk to Miss about this. Although she is not an invincible high-ranking deity, she is still a rare opponent under the invincible high-ranking deity. In addition, she has mainly studied soul means for many years, so her attainments in the soul are also extremely high. Looking at the entire outside world, she doesn't think that, under the invincible high-ranking god, there is no one who has higher attainments in the soul than her. As for 10,000 realms, there may be such an existence, but it is absolutely rare." Realizing that this matter needs to be notified, she immediately went to her family's young lady, the only daughter of the deputy head of the Xuanli sect, Guoyaola. "What?" Hearing the old woman's report, Guoyaola, who was a little bit pretty, couldn't help frowning slightly. Behind that woman, can there be an invincible high-ranking or supreme power? Humph. So what? Do you dare to come to our Xuanli sect to seek revenge? Guoyaola smiled coldly, her tone full of contempt. And she also has the capital to despise the other party. Although she is only the only daughter of the deputy suzerain, her father is only the existence of the first-level Xian, but her mysterious grandfather is the existence of the fourth-level Xian, and is recognized as a quasi-half in the Xuanli sect. Saint within 10,000 years, it is expected to step into the semi-holy realm. A pair of Xians, one of them is a semi-saint, and they are even attached to the Xuanli sect, a semi-saint power. Looking at the land outside the world and the world, how many people can provoke her? It's just a lowly maidservant playing tricks. Miss Ben told her not to play tricks. Take off the veil and have a look. But she still ignored Miss Ben. This lady has grown up so much. This is the first time I have met someone who dares to disobey me like this. It's a pity that she was allowed to escape. There should be a strong person behind her. After all, the means she used to escape, even you can't catch up. The invincible high-ranking can't give her that thing. Of course, it may also be the life-saving means that the invincible high-ranking behind her asked other powerful people to ask for. As the daughter of the strongest, she naturally knows that many powerful have recruited invincible high-ranking gods under their command. Thinking of this, she frowned slightly, and then relaxed. Even if the strongest person behind the invincible high-ranking is strong, so what? Could it be possible that he will indirectly make an enemy of our Xuanli sect for a woman? Thinking of this, the contempt on Guiyaole's mouth gradually turned into a sneer. Don't take it seriously at all. Whether it is Bibo Tianfu or Qingyun sacred sect, they are all within the territory of Leishang, a land outside the boundary. Duan Lingtian had only heard of Wind Saint Realm in the past, but had never been there. After this breakthrough, he had plans to take his wife Hongyan around, at least all over the world, but he never expected that he would come to the Wind Sacred Realm in this way. Semi-holy force in the Wind Sacred Realm, the Xuanli sect? In Duan Lingshan's eyes, icy flames danced, and as soon as he thought about it, the whole body seemed to emit a cold air, giving the passers-by around a feeling that winter is coming. Certainly, Huaner around her was not affected. Duan Lingtian has not lost his mind yet. So strong. The strongest. Passers-by were shocked and speculated. This is the city Huaner came to before going back, and it was outside this city that she was sniped and almost killed. The other party claimed to be the arrogance of the Xuanli sect of the semi-sacred power, who could control Huaner's life and death, and seeing that Huaner refused to talk to her, he asked his subordinates to kill her directly. Zuanlizong has an industry in this city? It's just right. Just like the last time he went to the Fu family's residence, this time Duan Lingtian did the same thing, arresting a person in charge of the Xuanli sect's industry in this city, and asked him to lead the way to the Xuanli sect. Soon they arrived outside the Xuanli sect. The Xuanli sect is located within a stretch of mountain ranges. According to the people he arrested, the highest mountain in the middle is the main peak of the Xuanli sect. The high-level and core disciples of the Xuanli sect are all practicing on it. Snort! Duan Lingtian snorted coldly and didn't say much nonsense. When he raised his hand, there was a palm in the air. In an instant, a gray palm print appeared on the summit of Xuanli sect Master Peak, like a cloud hanging from the sky, even more like a cloud that accumulates before the rainstorm. For a moment, the originally clear sky at the main peak of Xuanli sect suddenly became dark. The giant palm is in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Boom! As Duan Lingtian thought, he pressed it. The giant palm that shrouded the void suddenly became unreal, as if the power of space was beating, folding and swaying unceasingly, like ripples. It is more like a shocking waterfall, venting down. Chapter 4575. Everyone in the main peak of Xuanli sect was shocked. At this moment, even the weakest disciples of the Xuanli sect felt the threat of disappointment. The terrifying power shrouded in the sky made them smell like death. Boom! As soon as the commotion broke out, the palm print that covered the sky and the sun above the void roared down, and in a blink of an eye, it hit the Xuanli sect's protective array that had just risen. The Xuanli sect's protective array rose up, and the translucent resplendent mask was extremely gorgeous, with colorful streamers flickering inside and outside, as if it was indestructible. Seeing this, everyone in the Xuanli sect breathed a sigh of relief, and the sect's protective array finally stopped this terrifying force. The Zongmen sect's protective array claims to be able to block the attacks of the semi-saints for half a day. I haven't seen it before, but seeing it today, it really lives up to its reputation. Many core disciples of the Xuanli sect sighed, and at the same time felt proud of being a disciple of the Xuanli sect, and their sense of security doubled. With such terrifying power, there is a high probability that the person who comes will be a demi-saint. After making this guess, most people don't care about it anymore. It's just a half-sage, and it's not like they don't have Zunlaizong, and there is even a quasi-sage whose strength is rare under the half-sage. Only, soon, the smiles that had just risen on their faces froze in an instant. Just because, in their field of vision, the translucent mask raised by the guardian array only persisted for about 1 or 2 breaths, before another series of hideous and terrifying cracks appeared. The cracks spread in all directions, and in a blink of an eye, the mask was smashed like an egg with countless cracks, and then it was shattered. Boom! There was a loud noise, earth-shattering, and at the same time the Xuanli sect's protective array shattered. The aftermath of terrifying power raged and swept down, like a cataract pouring down. Boom! Rumble! In the blink of an eye, a terrifying force like dark clouds overwhelming the city swept across the main peak of Xuanli sect. Which saint are you? Why did you attack my Xuanli sect? Inside the main peak of Xuanli sect, an old and unwilling roar resounded through the heaven and earth. Immediately after seeing where the sound came from, beams of light emitted, sweeping all directions, protecting a group of people and quickly leaving the main peak. In other directions, there were also multiple figures, guarding a group of people to leave the main peak. Rumble! Rumble! A total of more than 100 people ran to the main peak, and then only heard the voices of wailing and despair coming from the main peak. But soon these voices disappeared, because the power falling from the sky like a big waterfall was about to collapse in a blink of an eye. The main peak is completely covered. After bursts of loud noises, the entire world seemed to be covered in dust. After the dust cleared, the place where the Xuanli sect master peak was originally located turned into a bottomless giant pit, like an abyss. Hiss, 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 hiss. In the surrounding areas, more than 100 people who escaped under the protection of many powerful men on the main peak came to their senses at this time, and while their faces were pale, they couldn't help but gasp. Horrible! This is the power of a saint? Call! Call! At the same time, 2 figures appeared above the abyss. It was Duan Lingtian and Huaner who were brought by his side. Under Huaner's signal, Duan Lingtian's indifferent eyes fell on one of the directions. There were more than 10 people standing there. One of them was a woman. Her complexion was pale at this time, and her face was full of heart. She lowered her head and stared at the abyss fearfully, temporarily not noticing Duan Lingtian's gaze. Nor did she notice Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. Your Excellency, I am the suzerain of Xuanli sect, Lu Fenghua. Even if you are a saint, my Xuanli sect is at least a semi-sacred sect under Huaiyue Tianzong's command. Have you greeted Huaiyue Tianzong by doing this? A tall, stern middle-aged man, Yukong, wearing a light blue robe, walked a few steps forward, looking at Duan Lingtian with fear, but he still dared to ask in a low voice. The meaning of what he said was undoubtedly bringing out Huaiyue Tianzong to suppress the other party. Of course, he said it very tactfully, and he didn't dare to be too straightforward. After all, he still doesn't know the details of the other party, but judging from the destructive power of the other party's attack just now, he must be a saint. As the suzerain of the Xuanli sect, he knows nothing about the sect's protective formation of his own sect. If it weren't for a saint, it would be impossible to easily defeat the guardian formation, and even razed the main peak to the ground. Just now, the half-sage of their Xuanli sect told him through sound transmission that when faced with the opponent's power, he also felt powerless for a while, and he only had time to take some nearby elders and disciples away from the main peak. And a message to let him and other powerful Zeons lead people away from the main peak. However, there are still a few weaker powerhouses who were wiped out along with the main peak. Almost when Lu Fengguo's voice fell, there was a shock in the sky. Dark clouds gathered, and then turned into blood clouds, lightning and thunder. A pouring rain of blood fell without warning, sweeping all directions, covering a large area around. This is exactly the phenomenon of heaven and earth caused by the death of the most powerful members of the Xuanli sect. In the land outside the boundary, many things can trigger some visions of heaven and earth, and even some people who have comprehended the laws to a certain level can also trigger impressive visions of heaven and earth. If you comprehend the law to the existence of the realm of lesser perfection, and apply the law of lesser perfection, you can manifest the vision of heaven and earth that illuminates hundreds of thousands of miles. If the Dzogchen law wants to show the vision of heaven and earth, there will even be a vision of heaven and earth that illuminates millions of miles. Of course, after comprehending the law to the state of Dzogchen, it is already back to the basics. If it is not for oneself to show the vision intentionally, the vision will basically not appear, and it is extremely restrained. It's you, the woman who almost killed me? Duan Lingtian didn't respond to Xuanli sect master Lu Fenghua, and didn't even pay attention to him. If he didn't integrate into the way of swordsmanship in that blow just now, otherwise that one blow would be enough to destroy everyone before. No one can escape. The reason why he kept his hands back was not that he was compassionate. The other party had already bullied his woman, so why should he give the other party a way out? But he didn't want the other party to die too happily. It is also because of this that the Xuanli sect master misjudged Duan Lingtian as a saint. And before Duan Lingtian spoke, Guiyaola had actually come to her senses, because the old woman behind her immediately sent a message to remind her after she recognized Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. She just looked at the woman she chased and killed some time ago, and just couldn't help frowning when she heard the saint beside her speak. At this moment, she, who was looking at Duan Lingshan's eyes full of murderous intent, instantly changed her expression. Woman, this woman turned out to be the saint's woman? Her heart sank instantly. She knew that she had caused a catastrophe, and as Duan Lingshan's voice fell and he noticed Duan Lingshan's eyes, all of the surviving people's eyes, including Xuanli sect master Lu Fenghua, also fell on Guiyaola. Chapter 4576. Guiyaola, of course they know each other. The daughter of the deputy suzerain Guiyang, the second strongest of the Xuanli sect, and the great-great-great-granddaughter of the semi-sage Guilan. In Xuanli sect, Guiyaola's status is even higher than that of the suzerain's only son, the young suzerain of Xuanli sect, because she has a blood relationship with the quasi-half-saint. Although the Xuanli sect still has a half-sage, the relationship between the half-sage and the suzerain is not close, it is just an ordinary relationship between master and uncle. Guilan, the quasi-half-sage, was the junior of that half-sage and was very close to that half-sage. This moment, the half-sage of Xuanli sect, Wang Tengyue, who had been silent all this time, was an old man who looked very kind, and his expression changed instantly. The young man in purple in front of him is a saint, he can be 100% sure of this. And now, according to the other party, the great-great-granddaughter of his junior brother Guilan almost killed the other party's woman? Dare to kill a saint's woman? Even if he is a half-saint, his head is not so strong. Sensing Wang Tenjia's eyes of hating iron and steel, Guilan, who was also looking back at his great-great-granddaughter, changed his face instantly. Just now, no matter whether it was Guiyaola, the great-great-granddaughter, or his great-grandson Guiyang, the deputy suzerain of Xuanli sect, and others, he took them away from the main peak. If he hadn't shot, these people wouldn't have been able to escape just now. Dear Saint, is there some misunderstanding? I believe, my daughter, I don't have the guts to target those around you. As Guiyaola's father, Guiyang was so scared that his face turned pale at this time. He looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a trembling tone and soul. Misunderstand? Duan Lingtian glanced at Guiyang lightly. You are her father, the deputy lord of Xuanli sect? Is it a misunderstanding? Just ask your daughter? Hearing this, Guiyang immediately looked at his daughter. His eyes filled with deep pain and despair. He knew that his daughter would definitely not survive today. At this moment, Guiyaola also came back to her senses from a brief moment of trance. Noticing the hatred eyes sweeping around her, her face became paler. It turned out to be this woman. Even the people around the saint want to kill. Why doesn't she go to heaven? It's okay to be arrogant and domineering inside the sect, but how dare you do it outside? It's okay now, have you kicked the iron plate? It's a pity that so many senior brothers were killed by her. She deserves to be cut to pieces. The surviving group of elders and disciples of the Xuanli sect also hated Guiyaola very much through voice transmission. However, they were afraid of Guayala's grandfather Xian, the second strongest of their Xuanli sect, quasi-half-saint Guilan, so they only dared to transmit their hatred, but did not dare to speak out. However, their gazes on Guayala were like knives and swords, wishing to crush each other to ashes. Guayala came back to her senses and realized the hatred of the world towards her, and even her father, grandfather Xian, who she relied on as her backer, seemed to have given up on herself at this time. Her face changed suddenly, and after a change in her gaze, she knelt down facing the direction of the young man in purple and the woman in white in front of her. "Dear sage, I offended the people around you because I had no eyes and no eyes. I also hope that the sage will have a lot of people and treat me like a fart." Guayala's tone trembled. Her fear reached the extreme, and she was so frightened that she almost lost control of herself. She never expected that a woman she hadn't taken seriously a while ago suddenly became someone she needed to look up to and not to be provoked. Saint's woman. Is this something she can afford? She knows very well that even if there is a saint sect Huayue Tianzong above the Xuanli sect behind her, it is impossible to have a grudge with a saint because of her. What's more, if there is a strong person present on Huayue Tianzong's side now, knowing that she has brought such a disaster to Zunlaizong, they may directly kill her and express Huayue Tianzong's respect for this in front of the saint in front of him. Attitude towards the matter. However, when he noticed the murderous intent rising in Duan Lingshan's eyes, Guayala also seemed to realize that the other party could not let her off. When she was in despair, she quickly turned around and kowtowed to her father and grandfather Xian. "Father, grandfather Xian, save me, help me. Behind our Xuanli sect is the Huayue Tianzong, and the Huayue Tianzong also has saints. You can save me. You can save me." At the critical moment of life and death, Guayala seemed to have grasped the last straw, begging her father and grandfather Xian hard. At this moment, she almost lost her mind. Guiyang and Guilan's expressions completely changed when they heard Guayala's words. "Damn girl. Haven't you understood the current situation? The other party obviously wants her life. She is like this now. Is she trying to harm them, Xian Lizong?" After knowing what Guayala had done, facing the powerful saints not far away, whether it was Guilan or Guiyang, his biological father, they had actually given up on Guayala. Laugh! With a sneer, a terrifying force of space suddenly appeared around Guiyang and Guilan. When Guilan's face changed drastically and Guiyang didn't notice, their bodies and souls exploded without warning. The rain of blood scattered all over the sky, splashing Guayala's face. "Huayue Tianzong." Duan Lingtian smiled coldly. "Today, in front of me, Duan Lingtian, not to mention the Huayue Tianzong, even if all the saints in the Wind Sacred Realm join forces, they will not be able to protect you." As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, the dissatisfaction with Xuanli sect semi-sage Wang Tengyue, who had just been dissatisfied because of his junior brother Guilan's killing, disappeared in an instant. When looking at Duan Lingtian again, the pair of childish eyes stared round, and subconsciously asked in a trembling voice, You are Lord Duan Lingtian." He's numb. Never thought that the strong man Guayala provoked would be such an existence. I thought it was a saint, but I didn't expect it to be a more terrifying Buddha. Beyond the existence of saints. Following Wang Tenjia's outrageous questioning, the people present at the Xuanli sect also came back to their senses after a short period of silence, and their faces were pale with shock. Lu Fenghua, the head of the Xuanli sect, felt powerless in his heart. After knowing who the opponent was, he knew very well that even if the opponent wiped out the entire Xuanli sect, Huayue Tianzong would not be able to stand up for the Xuanli sect. Lord Duan Lingtian? He is the second strong man who surpassed the saint? Duan Lingtian? A powerhouse beyond a saint who is as famous as Feng Qingyang? Guayala, a bitch, dares to provoke people around Lord Duan Lingtian? He also dragged down our Xuanli sect. He deserves death. Everyone in the Xuanli sect was shocked by Duan Lingshan's identity, and at the same time cursed Guayala one after another. Now, Guayala's two major backers are gone, and they have no worries. Boom! 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 Suddenly, Lu Fenghua, the suzerain of Xuanli sect, struck like lightning, killing the old woman beside Guayala and all other people of Guayala's lineage. Guayala was left alone. Lord Duan Lingtian, I, Lu Fenghua, as the head of the Xuanli sect, hereby announce that Guayala will be expelled from the Xuanli sect. From this moment on, Guayala will no longer be a disciple of my Xuanli sect. Because I don't know if you want to kill her yourself, my lord, so I didn't touch her. If your lord wants me to do it for you, I will make her leave the world in the most painful way. Lu Fengguo's tone was full of hatred. A woman killed so many people in their Xuanli sect. Even if he cut him into pieces, the hatred in his heart would not be quenched. Chapter 4577. For Duan Lingshan's identity, Lu Fenghua had no doubts. What a joke! In today's world, which saint doesn't know how terrible Duan Lingtian is? Who dares to impersonate him? Are you courting death? Moreover, Duan Lingshan's method of killing Guiyang and Guolan just now was mysterious and unpredictable. He exchanged a few words with Teng Yue, the semi-sage king of Xuanli sect. Even if it was the other party, he didn't notice Duan Lingshan's attack. According to Wang Tenjia's words, even if the saint made a move, he would not be unaware of it. It can be seen that this young man in purple is undoubtedly Duan Lingtian. Phantom. Duan Lingtian ignored Lu Fenghua, but looked at Huaner beside him. His eyes were full of tenderness. How do you want to deal with her? Before Huaner could speak, Guayala on the other side seemed to have regained some sense, and growled, "Why are you imprisoning me? I don't want to die?" After hearing Lu Fengguo's statement in front of Duan Lingtian, Guayala also realized that she would definitely die today, and immediately planned to commit suicide, fearing that she would suffer all kinds of torture if she didn't die, so she might as well give herself a happy one. However, she soon discovered that there was a force covering her body, suppressing her power, imprisoning her body 9 out of 10, making it difficult for her to commit suicide. The tongue is not imprisoned and can speak, but she is still a god. Even if she bites off her tongue, it is only a minor injury, and it is impossible to die. Brother Tian, you can deal with it as you see fit. Huaner responded to Duan Lingtian softly with a look of husband and wife. Good. Duan Lingtian nodded, then looked at Lu Fenghua and said calmly, In that case, I will leave it to you. He felt that Lu Fenghua would be more intimate to send Guayala a ride than him doing it himself. I'll give you 1 month. Within 1 month she must die. If she is not dead by then, I will come to Zuanlaizong to look for you again. After finishing the words, he swept out his consciousness and extracted a wisp of Guayala's soul breath to judge whether she was really killed by Lu Fenghua behind her. Although he couldn't see that Lu Fengguo's statement just now was a fraudulent element, but he didn't fully trust the other party either. Now, extracting a ray of Guayala's soul breath is enough to confirm whether Lu Fenghua will really kill Guayala, as he said. Lord Duan Lingtian, don't worry. When Lu Fenghua faced Duan Lingtian, he was very respectful. Halfway through the speech, he glanced at Guayala, who showed despair, and then continued, I will definitely send her on the road. Lu Fenghua bit down on the word good very hard. For this person who killed so many people in their Xuanli sect, and even killed the 2 most powerful members of the Xuanli sect, he only wished to cut him into pieces. Duan Lingtian greeted Huaner and took Huaner away. This time it is not without other gains. Although Guiyang and Guolan's rings have self-destructed, Guolan, a quasi-half-saint, still left behind a supreme godhead. Previously, Duan Lingtian killed 2 semi-sages of the Fu family, and also obtained 2 supreme godheads. As for Guiyang, and the red demon who died in his hands not long ago, because his strength was too weak and his comprehension of the law was too shallow, so that he did not condense the supreme godhead at all. The godhead of the strongest is of little use to him now. However, for his family it is a rare treasure. He intends to divide the supreme being's godhead after he settles his family. Of course, it will not be enough for the time being, but he can find someone to borrow it. Not many people died in his hands who condensed the supreme godhead, so there are not many supreme godheads in his hands. However, it can be borrowed from other semi-saints and saints. Of course, he didn't intend to borrow from someone he didn't know well, and he owed them favors for nothing. You can borrow it from the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect. I think they will not refuse after all. I kept my hands on them earlier. Duan Lingtian secretly thought. In addition, he can also borrow it from a few half-step world venerables including Xiao Mubai in the Nishan realm, or he can borrow it from Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu in the Thunder Sacred Realm outside the realm. The godhead of the strongest person is not only able to be born by half-saints, even some weaker strongest people can also be condensed. Those who comprehend the law to a certain degree of perfection can condense the supreme godhead, and if they get it, they can use the law of evolution. In the past, a large part of the reason why Duan Lingshan's space law was so fast was that he had the supreme godhead left behind after the death of the supreme being who was good at space law. I hope Lu Fenghua won't disappoint me. Otherwise, I don't mind sending him on the road in a month. Guiyaola bullied Huaner, and he didn't want him to die too happily. So he planned to use Lu Fengguo's hand to send Guiyaola on the road. Now, he has extracted a wisp of Guiyaola's soul breath. As long as the other party dies, he will be able to sense it immediately. Not afraid that Lu Fenghua would secretly let Guiyaola go. What's more, when he left Guiyaola's soul breath, he also left a soul imprint on Guiyaola's body. As long as the other party appeared in the same world as him, or in a place outside the world, he could be the first time is aware of the imprint of the soul so as to quickly confirm the location of the other party. Taking Huaner back to the secular plane where his family and friends are, Duan Lingtian left behind a clone of the law, waiting for the rest of his family and friends to return. His family, relatives, and friends in the secular plane all entered the small world inside his body and were taken away by him. Lord Xiao. Duan Lingtian went to find Xiao Mubai and explained his purpose. Lord Duan Lingtian, you are willing to set aside part of the small world in your body as the plane of the gods in the god-defying realm, which is naturally a great thing for the god-defying realm. In this way, the protective formation of the god-defying realm will become even more unbreakable. How about, my lord, you have family members in the land of the gods, and I will ask the owner of the land of the gods to transfer everything in the land of the gods, except his sacred tree of life, to the small world in your body. How about making the small world in your body a new place of God's legacy? Of course, if you don't want to keep the name of the land of the gods, but you want to change the name of the small world in your body that you set aside to serve as the plane of the gods, that's fine. Xiao Mubai said. For Xiao Mubai's respect for him, Duan Lingtian is actually not used to it. After all, this person has helped him a lot in the past and he accepts the other party's love. However, the other party was still unwilling to change his words, and he still couldn't let go, and he couldn't help it. There is no need to change the name, just continue to call it Land of the Gods. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said, at the same time, I also feel that Xiao Mubai has arranged a place for him so that the Xia family behind Kir will also be moved to the small world in his body that he left behind. Chapter 4578. Separating a part of the small world in the body as the plane of the gods in the god-defying realm will not have much impact on Duan Lingtian himself. He was even able to use this part of the small world in his body that was separated to make the small world in his body unique, teleporting back to the god-defying realm from the outside. It is impossible to divide a part of the small world in the body at ordinary times, because, after being separated, it is like a rootless duckweed, which cannot last for too long. Unlike after becoming the plane of the gods of the Nishan realm, which is connected to the Nishan realm, it can exist stably by absorbing the power of the realm of the Nishan realm. There is a gap between each realm of the 10,000 realms, and the same goes for the land outside the realm. There is no way to send a message across borders. Duan Lingtian had to tear apart the space before returning to the god-defying realm, and it would take a while. Even if it wasn't for a long time, he couldn't come back in an instant. And once the small world in his body becomes one of the eyes of the great formation of the god-defying realm, he can come back at any time. It can also be regarded as guarding family, relatives, and friends in disguise, guarding against the god realm. Even if his true self is outside, there is no need to worry too much. Come back any time. I asked several other senior world masters to come and help. After all, it is not a small project to transfer everything in the land of the gods to the small world in your body. Xiao Mubai said. Good. Duan Lingtian nodded in response. After parting from Xiao Mubai, he went to the Xia family, the land left by the gods, and found Xia Jie, the third master of the Xia family, and Xiao Yu, the head of the Xia family, and talked about it. On the Xia family's side, even the most powerful man in the back is very supportive of moving the family to Duan Lingshan's inner world. After all, this is an existence beyond the world venerable. For the Xia family, in fact, as long as they are in the plane of the gods, the small world in anyone's body is similar, but if they can go to the small world in Duan Lingshan's body, it is naturally a great thing. Xiao Tian, Xia Jie, unlike his elder brother Xia Yu, became a little more uneasy in front of Duan Lingtian after Duan Lingtian became stronger, and he was as casual as before. For this matter, he also began to help Duan Lingtian analyze. If the news that everything on the land of the gods has migrated to the small world in your body spreads, I am afraid that people from other planes of the gods will rush to the land of the gods. After all, the plane of the gods that transcends the small world inside the saint's body is too attractive to people who don't care much about other planes of the gods. So, I suggest that even if the land of the gods is to be migrated, it is best not to reveal too much information, and it is best not to let people know that it is migrating to the small world inside your body. Xia Jie said. Before Duan Lingtian opened his mouth, Xia Yu also nodded and agreed. This matter is really not a small problem. Although there are more people in the land of the gods, it's nothing. But it's not a good thing for other gods. At that time, the planes of the gods will probably be extremely unbalanced. Hearing Xia Jie and Xia Ye's words, Duan Lingtian pondered for a while, and felt that this matter was no small matter. Once people from other planes of the gods get together and run to the land of the gods, it will have little impact on him, but it will have a great impact on other planes of the gods. First of all kinds of transactions, that is, the economy may stagnate a lot. The population loss is too serious, which is an inevitable consequence. Let me talk to World Master Xiao. Duan Lingtian contacted Xiao Mubai immediately and relayed Xia Jie's words. When Xiao Mubai heard Xia Jie's words, his tone became a lot more dignified, and he felt that what he said made sense. It's best not to make public the small world in whose body the land of the gods was migrated to. Just talking about migrating to the Nishan realm, the small world inside the body of another supreme power will do. In this way, this matter will be resolved. Next, under the auspices and arrangements of Xiao Mubai and other semi-holy world lords, the original land of the gods began to migrate while leaving the big formation of the realm. And the small part of the small world in the body that Duan Lingtian allocated, while merging with the large formation of the anti-god realm, accepts the migration from the land of the gods at the same time. The original land of the gods, except for the place where the tree of life is located, the rest of the place was completely leveled, and everything was completely migrated to the small world in Duan Lingshan's body. Even the people inside are together. The whole process went very smoothly and did not cause much panic. After all, for everyone on the land of the gods, this doesn't have much impact on them, it's just a change of plane, and everything they have has not disappeared. In order for the land of the gods to migrate perfectly, the small world in Duan Lingshan's body is the same as the original land of the gods. There was a small episode in the middle, that is, the original owner of the gods' remains land, a powerhouse against the god realm, decided to take root in a new gods' remains land after knowing that the gods' remains land would be migrated to Duan Lingshan's internal small world. Zhong Lipai fulfills the wishes of the past. Back then, he had the wish to establish a sect, but before he realized it, he was arrested by Xiao Mubai like a strong man, and he was arrested to dominate a plane of gods. In half a month, half of the land left by the gods was successfully migrated. At this time, Duan Lingshan's master, Feng Qingyang, also returned from the outside world. In half a month, not only all the new entrances of the Tongtian Tower in the outer realm were found, but even the new entrances of the Tongtian Tower in the upper 3 realms and the middle 18 realms were found. At this time, it doesn't make sense for him to continue guarding the Tongtian Tower. After returning, Feng Qingyang found out about the migration of the land of the gods, and joined the helping army for a while, so that the land of the gods successfully completed the migration within the next half-month. It is naturally much more efficient for an existence above a saint to help. In less than a month, the migration to the land of the gods was completed. The branches of the godly tree of life should be planted in Xia's house. Because it is a small world separated from the body, there is no tree of life there, and the plane of the gods is in the world of the gods, so they need to rely on the power of the tree of life and the realm of the world of the gods to resonate, so as to protect the gods together. Therefore, Duan Tian made a branch of the divine tree of life and planted it in the small world within the body that was separated. That is, in the new land of the gods. Wow! Crash! The branches of the godly tree of life took root in Xia's family, and in just a few days it grew into a towering tree. After Duan Tian stepped into the strongest seventh stage, the divine tree of life, which was a small world in his body, also experienced many transformations and became extremely powerful. Therefore, in just a few days, it allowed its clone in the new land of the gods to grow up to the point where it was not weaker than the tree of life in the body of ordinary superpowers. Since then, the new land of the gods has been on the right track. And everyone on this land was only surprised for a few days before adapting to the unchanged surrounding environment, and even once mistakenly thought that they had never left the original land of the gods. Died. On this day, Duan Tian, who was discussing the 4 ways of the world with Xiao Mubai, suddenly frowned, and the ray of soul breath he had drawn in the past dissipated. That Lu Fenghua, it seems that he really hates that woman. It actually tortured her for a whole month. Guiyaola, the woman who almost killed Huaner not long ago, died. Chapter 4579. Duan Tian was thinking this morning that if Guiyaola hadn't died in a few days, he would go to another place outside the boundary, to go to the Xuanli sect of the Wind Sacred Realm for liquidation. Unexpectedly, Guiyaola died at the end of the month. It just happened to be stuck in the time he gave to Xuanli sect master Lu Fenghua. Lord Duan Tian, listening to your words is better than my 1,000 years of penance. After Xiao Mubai communicated with Duan Tian for a while, he couldn't help expressing emotion, and at the same time, his gaze was particularly complicated. Once upon a time, this one needed his help and gave him treasures to assist in his cultivation. He was one of the few young arrogances he valued most in the past. He placed high hopes on the other party. He felt that the other party might be the future hope of the god-defying realm. Unexpectedly, in just a few years, the other party suddenly had a shocking achievement. As soon as he entered Xi'an, he stepped into the Xi'an 7th level and surpassed him. Even the father he regarded as an idol in the past, the former strongman of the god-defying realm, who fell under the catastrophe of 10,000 years, did not reach the current height of the other party. Lord Xiao, I will never forget the help you gave me in the past. This time I borrowed a lot of your godhead from the most powerful, and I also accept your favor. If you need help with anything in the future, just ask. For Xiao Mubai, Duan Tian is grateful from the bottom of his heart. After all, the other party has indeed helped him a lot in his growth. Not to mention anything else, just talking about the pool of Shin Yunquan saved him from taking many detours on the road of cultivation. Don't worry, I won't be polite to you. Xiao Mubai also shook his head and smiled when he heard the words. His eyes were rather complicated. In fact, Duan Tian is not the only rising star he values, but also Feng Qingyang and Duan Lingshan's senior sister in the inner palace of Wanfa Academy. During this period of time, he often sighed in his heart. He had never felt that his vision was so poisonous. Among the people he valued, there were actually 2 existences beyond the realm. They can be called the strongest 2 in the world at present. At the moment, there is one thing that I want to trouble you and your master. Duan Tian and Xiao Mubai helped some people in the past, and it was considered a good relationship, but he had no direct contact with Feng Qingyang, so he needed Duan Lingshan's help. Master Xiao, feel free to speak. As long as I can, I will try my best to convince my master. Duan Tian said. He didn't guarantee it. After all, he didn't know what the other party wanted him and his master to do. In addition, if it was an ordinary matter, his master would not be able to refuse for his sake. Nowadays, many of the most powerful people in the god-defying realm have a good relationship with Shiguang Sword back then, and even have 1 or 2 descendants of Shiguang Sword. Good. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Xiao Mubai immediately smiled with satisfaction. The reason why he made such a request was because he hoped that the other strongest members of the God-defying realm could reach a higher level. I have done everything I can. Whether you can seize the opportunity and skyrocket in the future depends on your own talent and understanding, Xiao Mubai said silently in his heart. As the leader of the Nishan realm, Xiao Mubai naturally hoped that the Nishan realm would have more powerful people, and it was impossible to completely rely on Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. Even if it is him, the reason why he came to Duan Lingtian to talk about the 4 ways of heaven and earth this time is because he wants to go a step further, step into the 6th level of Xian, and break through to become a Jesuan. He is very close to Jesuan, and he has only missed a step in the door for many years, but it is this step in the door that has been unable to pass for a long time. However, after Duan Lingshan's guidance this time, and the fact that Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang will preach together for the most powerful people in the God-defying realm, he feels that he should be able to take a crucial step and catch up with his father in the past. Become a world respected. After separating from Duan Lingtian, Xiao Mubai was not in a hurry to inform others. Knowing that Duan Lingtian sent a message to him the next day saying that Feng Qingyang agreed to this matter, he sent a message to the other strongest people in the God-defying realm except Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, and then held a meeting of the strongest. Tell this matter to all the strongest. For a time, all the Xians were ecstatic. Boundary Master. Awesome. This time, you have done a great favor for the big guy. Ha ha. Thank you, World Master. I am not far from the 4th level of Xian. This time, after listening to Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, I should be able to go one step further. At this moment, among the Xians present, even a few who were reluctant to come to the meeting, they were all glad that they had come, or they might have missed it. Chapter 4580. A few days later, at Xiao Mubai's request, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang gave a public lecture to the most powerful people in the God-defying realm. The place of preaching is in the new land of the gods. Certainly, the new land of the gods is about the small world in Duan Lingshan's body. Few people know about it. Among the most powerful people against the God realm, there are only Xiao Mubai and other semi-holy world masters, and the most powerful person from the Xia family, or the owner of the land of the old gods knows. The rest of the Xians don't know about it, and the preaching location was arranged in the land left by the gods, and these powerhouses only thought it was because the Xia family was in the land left by the gods. They all know that the daughter of the Xia family, Xia Ningxue, is Duan Lingshan's wife. Everyone, it's really early. Now, there is still an hour before the sermon begins. You are coming too early, right? An old man with a slightly fat body smiled and greeted a few acquaintances who had gathered together to chat. He was amazed at the early arrival of the few people. He originally thought that he had come early enough. Good guy, the others came earlier than him. Master Duan Lingtian and Master Feng Qingyang are preaching. Can you come earlier? After this time, I don't know if there will be another chance in the future. I came 2 hours ago. A middle-aged man laughed. TSK, TSK. Isn't that the most powerful member of the Yun family in the land of the gods? I remember that the young master of the Yun family, Yun Qingyan, had a very unpleasant quarrel with Duan Lingtian. A young man looked at the old man standing alone not far away, raised his eyebrows slightly, and was very surprised. He didn't expect the other party to have the courage to come. The most powerful member of the Yun family is the only contemporary member of the Yun family, and he is also the ancestor of the Yun family. In the past, the head of the Yun family, Yun Qingjian's father, wanted him to take action and plunder Duan Lingshan's Shenyangquan, but because he knew that Shenyangquan was given by the world lord Xiao Mubai, he didn't have the guts to fight for it, and he didn't even dare to fight for it. He easily offended Duan Lingtian, so he ignored the head of the Yun family. That little really hurt me a lot. Standing there, the patriarch of the Yun family could easily feel the estrangement from the group of powerful people around him. He was even isolated many years ago. When Duan Lingshan's master Feng Qingyang became a historical barrier, and the first extreme 7th-level powerhouse above Jizen's heavenly words appeared. A group of superpowers from the Nishan realm, after knowing him after the conflict between the Yun family and Duan Lingtian in the past, they distanced themselves from him one after another. Some old friends from the past have also begun to stop interacting with him. They are all worried that Feng Qingyang will help Duan Lingtian in the future, liquidate the Yun family, liquidate him, and Qiyu will suffer. At that time, he had actually thought about whether it was time to leave the god-defying realm and go somewhere outside the realm. However, in the end he still had no intention of leaving. He couldn't abandon the Yun family. Even when he took over as the head of the Yun family many years ago, he promised his grandfather that he would protect the Yun family well throughout his life, and that he would live and die with the Yun family. So he didn't leave. Moreover, he is not guilty about what happened to Yun Qingyan back then, because he did not listen to the one-sided words of Yun Qingyan's father, who is also the current patriarch of the Yun family, and did not do anything that was unfavorable to Duan Lingtian. Even Yun Qingyan was expelled from the Yun family by him. I really didn't expect that not only Duan Lingtian's master took that step, but he also took that step. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. At the same time, he hated Yun Qingyan more and more. There's nothing, what is he doing to provoke the daughter of the Xia family? Isn't this bringing trouble to the Yun family? At this time, whispers from the most powerful came to his ears one after another. This Yun goofing. This time it really has become a solitary peak. If Master Duan Lingtian wants to settle with him, he will definitely die, and the Yun family will not escape. Yun goofing is actually a nice person. I helped him once back then, and he always took it to heart, and he helped me a lot later. But it's a pity that the younger generation of the Yun family didn't live up to their expectations and offended Lord Duan Lingtian. In order to avoid getting hurt by Qiyu, you can only stay away from him. Understood. Now, who dares to get close to him easily? About half an hour later, Xiao Mubai and several other semi-saint powerhouses from the Nishan realm also came from a distance. Mubai, thanks to you this time, we old fellows can also enjoy the glory and listen to the lectures of the two adults. Yes, Mubai boy, I really want to thank you for this matter. If you hadn't spoken up, those two adults might not be willing to preach for us. Several semi-holy powerhouses looked at Xiao Mubai, and their words were full of gratitude. They are much older than Xiao Mubai, and even in the last 10,000 years calamity they were more or less injured. If there are only a few more steps and you can't step into the boundary venerable realm, even if you survive the next 10,000 years tribulation, you will definitely die the next time. This time, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang openly lectured for the most powerful people in the god-defying realm, which can be said to have given them the hope of a breakthrough. Although it is not 100% able to break through this lesson, it is definitely much better than crossing the river by feeling the stones by themselves. Seniors, you don't have to be polite. This is what I should do. I hope that the seniors can gain something this time, so that we can produce a few more powerful world venerables from the god-defying realm. Xiao Mubai said repeatedly. Soon, a few people came to the place agreed by Xiao Mubai and Duan Lingtian to start the lecture, in a vast valley behind the continuous mountains behind the Xia family residence. In the valley, the green shade is lush, the birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant, just like a paradise. As soon as they arrived at the scene, a group of powerful people against the god realm in the valley immediately saluted them respectfully. I have seen World Lord Xiao and several world lords. I have seen a few world masters. Xiao Mubai and the others are the strongest existences in Nishan realm except for Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. They are all semi-saints, and they are respected both in the past and now. Ha ha! You guys are really early. An old man with a white beard beside Xiao Mubai laughed and said. His words were very casual, without any airs. Now he can't stand the airs anymore. In the past, he was regarded as the sealing powerhouse of the god-defying realm. But now, the new sealing powerhouse of the god-defying realm is enough to crush him to death with one finger. Another half hour passed. Two figures came hand in hand. It was Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. I have met Lord Duan Lingtian. I've seen Mr. Feng Qingyang. Headed by Xiao Mubai and several other world lords, a group of the most powerful people in the anti-god world respectfully saluted Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. And after everyone saluted, a figure rushed towards Duan Lingtian without any warning, at an extremely fast speed. Yun goofing, what do you want to do? Xiao Mubai flickered, blocked the other party's way, and stared at the other party with a gloomy expression. Chapter 4581. What's more, at this moment, Xiao Mubai stared at Yun Gufeng in the depths of his gaze, with a faint killing intent beating. Today is the day when Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang start their lectures, and for the most powerful people in the God-defying realm present, it is an opportunity that can only be met but not sought after. He does not allow any accidents to happen. Xiao! Yun Gufeng paused, looked at Xiao Mubai who was blocking the way, with a wry smile on his face. Just as he opened his mouth, he was interrupted by shouts of shouts. Yun Gufeng, what do you want to do? If you don't want to listen to the sermons of the two adults, get out. Yun Gufeng, if you dare to offend the two adults, you should take the Yun family out of the God-defying realm. You and your family are not welcome in the God-defying realm. Yun Gufeng, Master Duan Lingtian hasn't settled with you yet, but you jumped out first? You are not a coward. Although Yun Gufeng's strength is not at the bottom among the most powerful people in the Nishan realm, it is only in the middle and lower reaches, and there are many people in the Nishan realm who can handle him. Now, except for the strongest people who had some friendship with Yun Gufeng in the past, all the strongest people in the God-defying realm whose strength is not weaker than Yun Gufeng have all opened their mouths to scold Yun Gufeng. What's more, one after another divine consciousness shrouded Yun Gufeng's body in an extremely unkind way, as if he dared to act recklessly again, a group of people around would attack and kill him together. Yun Gufeng, you'd better give us an explanation. Otherwise the Nishan realm won't tolerate you and your family. Next to Xiao Mubai was an old man who looked like a semi-sage, staring at Yun Gufeng with indifferent eyes and said in a cold tone, as one of the world masters of the Nishan realm, he really wants Yun Gufeng to get out, because Yun Gufeng and the Yun family behind him will never be able to return to the Nishan realm in the future. Yun Gufeng was naturally aware of this point. So, upon hearing the old man's words, Yun Gufeng suddenly smiled wryly and helplessly, and at the same time looked around and said, "Everyone, you all misunderstood. I have no malice towards Lord Duan Lingtian. Now, I am about to step forward and apologize to Lord Duan Lingtian on behalf of the unworthy descendants of my Yun family who were expelled from the family in the past." After the words fell, he looked at Duan Lingtian, bowed respectfully and said, "Master Duan Lingtian, Yun Qingyan was expelled from the Yun family by me in the past, and you must have heard about it. After the relocation of the land of the gods this time, I also made another decision to deprive Yun Qingyan's father of Yun Tingfeng as the head of the family. Now Yun Tingfeng is no longer the head of the Yun family. As the saying goes, it is the fault of the son not teaching his father. Yun Qingyan ran away, but his father was still there, and I imprisoned him in the Yun family. I'm going to hand it over to Lord Duan Lingtian for your disposal. Master Duan Lingtian, if you say a word, I will send him on his way back to Yun's house today." In Yun Gufeng's words, the tone was very sincere, full of desire to survive. From the very beginning, Duan Lingtian didn't care about Yun Gufeng's approaching him, because he had already seen that this person was just an extraordinary powerhouse. Unexpectedly, he turned out to be the most powerful member of the Yun family in the land left by the gods. Now, upon hearing what the other party said, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but secretly sigh. It really is a world where the strong are respected. In the past, Yun Qingyan, who had acted aloof in front of him, was feared by the ancestor of the Yun family and expelled from the family because he got Shen Yunquan to have a relationship with Xiao Mubai. Now that he has stepped into the 7th level of the strongest, and has the strength to surpass Jiazun, this ancestor of the Yun family is lucky to have removed Yun Tingfeng, the head of the Yun family. He also heard about some things about the Yun family from his third uncle Xia Jia later, so he knew some things. It was also because of this that even if he had the current strength and returned to the God against God realm, he did not intend to target the Yun family too much, nor did he deliberately target the Yun family. Otherwise, with his current strength, destroying the Yun family would be nothing more than a matter of flipping hands. Moreover, even if he did this, he can be sure that no one in the entire God-defying realm will have any objections to it. Just watch and deal with it. Duan Lingtian glanced at Yun Gufeng lightly and said, I only have one request. There are people who have done something against me in the past. You must deal with me. The rest, including you, since they haven't thought badly about me, I won't care about it." Hearing what Duan Lingtian said, Yun Gufeng was immediately surprised and responded repeatedly, "Master Duan Lingtian, don't worry. I will definitely investigate the matter of that year after I return to Yun's house after listening to the class today. I will give Lord Duan Lingtian a satisfactory explanation." Duan Lingshan's easy-to-talk surprised Yun Gufeng, and even this guy didn't seem to let him go, and didn't let him attend the class. "But if I find that Yun Qingyan in the future, he will definitely die," Duan Lingtian continued. Upon hearing this, Yun Gufeng said with a ruthless face, "That little bastard, if I can find him in the future, I will definitely let him die without a place to bury him. He really hates Yun Qingyan. Almost killed the entire Yun family. He has already decided that after returning from the class this time, he must investigate Yun Qingyan's father, Yun Tingfeng, to see what he secretly did against Duan Lingtian, and who else from the Yun family was involved. He knew that the crisis originating from Duan Lingtian hadn't completely disappeared yet. Only if he handles this matter well, Duan Lingtian may completely let him go and let the Yun family go. Lord Duan Lingtian really has a lot of adults. If this Yun Xinfeng and the Yun family behind him dare to act like monsters in the future, I will definitely not let him and the Yun family go. Soon, one of the most powerful people in the God-defying realm began to flatter Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he also expressed his willingness to supervise the Yun family together. As soon as he finished speaking, another group of Xians followed suit, saying that they would also help Duan Lingtian supervise the Yun family. "Brother Yun, congratulations on getting through this calamity. I was estranged from you before, and I really can't offend Lord Duan Lingtian, so I hope Brother Yun will forgive me." Seeing that Duan Lingtian didn't intend to argue with Yun Gufeng, an extremely strong person who had a good relationship with Yun Gufeng in the past, immediately communicated with Yun Gufeng via voice transmission. "However, Brother Yun, you must handle this matter that Lord Duan Lingtian asked you to do properly, and you must not be soft-hearted just because the person who wants to do it is your descendant." After a while, a few of Yun Gufeng's old friends congratulated Yun Gufeng through sound transmission, and at the same time, they also said similar words to admonish Yun Gufeng. The episode about Yun Gufeng ended like this. Next, Feng Qingyang began to give lectures, discussing and evolving his due of the sword for the most powerful people in the anti-god world present. In fact, Feng Qingyang's current kendo has transformed into the time kendo. However, because none of the most powerful people in the god-defying realm is good at the law of time, he mainly talked about his core swordsmanship. Kendo before time kendo. Even so, the audience was still mesmerized and more or less enlightened. Chapter 4582. Battle Master Ling Tian. Not to mention the contemporary Nishan realm, no one would dare to say that his attainments in the Tao of Sword surpassed Feng Qingyang even if he looked at the 10,000 realms, or even the places outside the realm. Even Duan Lingtian, who has stepped into the 7th level of swordsmanship, is not necessarily stronger than the swordsmanship mastered by his master Feng Qingyang. Master, the way of the sword. Duan Lingtian was also listening carefully to his master talking about the way of swordsmanship, and soon discovered that there were also many things that could inspire him. He and his master's swordsmanship came from the same source. As for later, his swordsmanship developed in the direction of the law of space, and combined with the memory of the old man Wukong, he has already walked out of his own way. In the past, his master naturally kept no secrets from him. However, some of the mysteries of swordsmanship told by his master now are some insights from his master's back, which are also of great help to him, and he is fascinated by listening to it. For other people, even if they are not good at the way of swords, as long as they are good at the way of weapons, they will be greatly inspired. Even if he is not good at the way of weapons, he still feels that he is expected to embark on the road of swordsmanship. Originally, a group of powerful people from the Nishan realm only thought that no matter whether it was Duan Lingtian or Feng Qingyang, even if they were giving lectures together, they could deal with them casually in just one day. What they didn't expect was that it took 3 days and 3 nights just to preach the sermon lightly, and it stopped after 3 days and 3 nights. Xiaotian. At this time, Feng Qingyang looked at Duan Lingtian again, obviously asking Duan Lingtian to continue preaching. At the same time, a group of the most powerful people in the god-defying realm also came back to their senses. Then, under the leadership of several Nishan realm masters including Xiao Mubai, they all bowed to Feng Qingyang to Thank you, Master Feng Qingyang, for preaching to me. They are all sincerely thanking them now, and they can all see that during these 3 days and 3 nights, Feng Qingyang did not perfuse them at all, and he preached earnestly from beginning to end. My kendo, except for the part of the law of time, has basically simplified some key points for you, and I hope to give you some help in the future. Feng Qingyang smiled slightly and said, Next, all of you will join me and welcome my disciple to give us a sermon. To be honest, this disciple of mine has long been better than Blue. His attainments in the way of swordsmanship are no less than mine. Even in the way of infinity and the way of control, he has also put in a lot of effort, and his attainments are not shallow. Some time ago, Feng Qingyang was with Duan Lingtian most of the time, and even secretly discussed with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian fought him to a draw with just the way of the sword. But when Duan Lingtian uses the way of control, he is no longer an opponent. At that moment, he realized that his disciple also had very high attainments in the way of control and the way of infinity, which can even be said to shock him. Master is too flattering and killing me. Duan Lingtian smiled wryly and shook his head, then looked around and said, The source of my swordsmanship lies in my master. Most of our philosophies in Kendo agree. Next, I will talk about my other insights on the way of the sword. After the words fell, Duan Lingtian spent a day and a night sharing the Kendo part he had comprehended with everyone. During this period, he sometimes took action to evolve the way of the sword. Everyone was also mesmerized. Even if it was Feng Qingyang, he still listened to it with fascination because he also got a lot of inspiration from it. On the second day, Duan Lingtian began to talk about the way of control. Perhaps because of the influence of Master Feng Qingyang Mingzhu, Duan Lingtian also spoke very seriously, and he also talked for 3 days and 3 nights. Then, he continued to talk about the infinite way. Of course, the 4 paths of heaven and earth that everyone walks are different. Even if someone now uses the foundation of the 4 paths of heaven and earth described by Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang as the basis, and walks all the way, they will also walk on a fork in the future. On way. Everything they said can only be used as a reference and an inspiration. What everyone, including Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, did not expect was that when Duan Lingtian was talking about the way of infinity, it was only the second day. A small movement abruptly interrupted Duan Lingtian. Boom! There was an explosion at the end of the sky. The clouds and mist dispersed. The space split, and a line of heavenly words appeared in front of everyone. Seeing these heavenly words, Duan Lingtian was surprised. Meng Han in the outer worlds. Isn't that the strongest man in the Thunder Saint realm Bibo Tianfu? It should also be the first Xian to enter the Tongtian Tower. He got the heavenly Dao talisman? And did you sneak through the taboo realm? Duan Lingtian looked at Shizhu and Feng Qingyang, but saw that the other party was also looking at him, with a bit of surprise in his eyes. Xiaotian, that Meng Han is really a good trick. As the existence of the 6th level of the most powerful, we are ushering in the taboo realm of catastrophe, and the 2 of you are not aware of it. It is really deep enough. Feng Qingyang said through voice transmission, At the beginning, when I was cultivating as a middle-level god, I faced the taboo realm and the catastrophe. The commotion was not small, and many people were shocked. I didn't expect that either. Duan Lingtian also said, At the beginning, I broke through the taboo realm heavenly tribulation with the cultivation base of a high-ranking god. After I succeeded in crossing the tribulation, fortunately I ran fast, otherwise it would be difficult to survive. Meng Han, the reason why he was able to usher in the taboo realm of catastrophe quietly and survive the catastrophe more smoothly is obviously because he deliberately found a place and covered it up by means of crossing the sea. Doing this can also prevent someone from making trouble. When Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were transmitting the sound, a group of the most powerful people in Nishan realm, including Xiao Mubai and other half-step world venerables, were also inexplicably horrified. In the land outside the boundary, there is actually someone who has survived the taboo realm, and this person is still a strong world venerable. According to the words of the land outside the boundary, he is a strong saint. I really didn't expect that the boundary venerable has survived the taboo realm's catastrophe. He got the heavenly Dao talisman from the Tongtian Tower so quickly? It is not difficult for those present to guess that the other party's ability to survive the taboo realm's catastrophe must have something to do with the heavenly Dao talisman, rewarded by Tongtian Tower. Everyone is still surprised. And at this moment, another line of heavenly Dao text appeared in due course. This is a brand new line of heavenly Dao text, covering the previous line of heavenly Dao text. It also shocked the quartet. Chapter 4583. Breakthrough so quickly? A group of strongest men from the god-defying realm stared at each other, all showing expressions of astonishment. After all, in their memories, whether it is Duan Lingtian or Feng Qingyang, they only stepped into the Xian 7th level after they passed through the taboo realm of heavenly tribulation for a period of time. Among them, Duan Lingtian took the longest time. Soon, someone looked at Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang and expressed their doubts. Feng Qingyang said, "Actually, this is quite normal. Then Meng Han is the existence of the 6th level of the strongest, and he is only one cultivation level away from the 7th level of the strongest. While he is going through the taboo realm, his cultivation will inevitably break through on his own, and he will break through in the blink of an eye. As for me, I am a middle-level deity, and I have survived the taboo realm. As long as I break through to the upper deity realm with my attainments in the law that I am good at, I will immediately welcome the call of the strongest realm, can directly become the strongest and quickly step into the 7th level of the strongest. Although it is fast, it also takes a process. As for Xiaotian, when he passed through the heavenly tribulation of the Forbidden Realm, he was a high-ranking deity who had rejected the call of the Forbidden Realm before. As for why he refused, I think you all know very well. In this case, even if he survives the catastrophe of the taboo realm, he still needs to find his own way and seek the second call of the strongest realm. I think you all know how difficult this process is. So, among the three of us at the 7th level of the strongest, he has spent the longest time stepping into the 7th level of the strongest since he passed through the taboo realm. As Feng Qingyang's voice fell, everyone suddenly realized. What Feng Qingyang said, they took it out separately. In fact, they all knew it, but they didn't think much about it, so they had this doubt. Of course, the most important reason is that the powerhouse Meng Han from the outer worlds went from crossing the taboo realm to stepping into the 7th level of power in just a blink of an eye. I didn't expect that the 3rd Xian, the 7th level existence, would appear so soon. Many of the most powerful people in the world against the gods frowned. This is not a good thing for them in the world against the gods. After all, before this, looking at all realms, even in places outside the realm, there are only 2 7th-level powerhouses who act against the god realm. And now, how long will the multi-entrance of Tongtian Tower be open? The 3rd Xian, the 7th level, was born so soon? According to this speed, won't there be many Xian 7th-order powerhouses soon? The way of heaven is really unfair to give them such a shortcut. One by one, the most powerful people in the god-defying realm fought for Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian and the two were very calm, because they have already figured it out. If in this world, after them, no existence of the 7th level of the strongest is born, how lonely and lonely would they be? Without competition, without spurs on the road of cultivation, I am afraid that they will be like walking corpses alive. With the cultivation base of a saint, facing the taboo realm of catastrophe, even if there is a talisman of heaven that can block 3 catastrophes, it may not be so easy to overcome. The old man beside Xiao Mubai shook his head after hearing everyone's words. You guys think too simply. He continued to speak and said with emotion, the Meng Han announced in the text of Tian Dao, if I guess correctly, should be the same person as the Meng Han I know. This Meng Han is the peerless powerhouse of Bibo Tianfu, the holy land of minds outside the world, who was famous all over the world in the past. When he was young, in his era, he was also a well-known proud son of heaven in the land outside the world. Just because he can get through the taboo realm, doesn't mean that other people can get through it too. Obviously, he also knows Meng Han quite well. I heard that he was already dead when the last supreme tribulation came, but I didn't expect that he didn't die at all. He sighed. Hearing this, the faces of the disaffected people improved slightly. Everyone, let's continue. Duan Lingtian opened his mouth and continued to tell everyone about the infinite way. Although this way of infinity originated from the memory left by the old man Wukong, he has also studied it for a while now and has achieved something. When the attention of a group of strongest people in the Nishan realm returned to Duan Lingtian. Everywhere in Nishan realm, there are people fighting for Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. Everyone thinks, why should the way of heaven take care of other people? Isn't this bullying honest people? Meng Han's breakthrough not only shocked the Nishan realm, but also shocked other realms of the 10,000 realms, especially the upper 3 realms. Now, although some people from the upper 3 realms have entered the Tongtian Tower, most of them have returned without success. For the time being, only 2 people have obtained the heavenly Dao talisman. One of them is Lei Hong, the world venerable powerhouse of the bright light realm. The other person is Fang Yifan, the world venerable powerhouse in the Ascension realm. Fang Yifan is also one of the world's most respected powerhouses, recognized as the strongest in the feathered world. Lei Hong in the Mingguang realm is also a super strong man standing at the top of the pyramid. However, although the 2 got the heavenly Dao talisman, they were not in a hurry to attract the taboo realm, because they were not ready enough. But now, through the words of the Dao of Heaven, they saw that the sage Meng Han from the outside world had actually broken through, and the 2 of them couldn't sit still for a while. That old boy Meng Han can survive the forbidden realm. How can I, Lei Hong, be worse than him? Lei Hong naturally knew Meng Han. He was from the same era as his master, and he had defeated his master in a duel. After he stepped into the 6th level of Xian and became Jesuan, he also wanted to challenge Meng Han and avenge his master. But he was told that the other party had gone on a trip and was not in Bibo Tianfu. He went there several times later, but never saw each other. Therefore, he felt that either the other party felt inferior to him and had no courage to fight him, or the other party might have died under the catastrophe that the most powerful man had to face once every 10,000 years, but Bibo Tianfu didn't make any noise. Until today, he didn't know that the other party was still alive and well. Moreover, like him, he got 3 heavenly Dao talismans from Tongtian Pagoda and successfully broke the tribulation, stepping into the Xian 7th level. Became another top existence after Feng Qingyang and Duan Lingtian. This time, he shouldn't hide from me, right? However, the impulsiveness was impulsive, and at the critical moment, Lei Hong still calmed down, and at the same time planned to meet Meng Han again and ask him about it. Let's see if he can bear everything the other party is facing. The other side. Fang Yifan's mind was the same as Lei Hong's. Both of them spent many years and went through untold hardships to get to where they are today, so naturally they would not easily joke about their wealth and life. Go and learn from that senior Meng Han. With a single thought, Fang Yifan left the Ascension realm. Chapter 4584. When Lei Hong and Fang Yifan were going to find Meng Han outside the boundary. A group of world venerables from all realms who hadn't entered the Tongtian Tower before all flocked towards the various entrances of the Tongtian Tower, wanting to see if they could successfully break through and get the heavenly Dao talisman. So far, the people who failed to come out of the Tongtian Tower were injured the most. No one died because they failed to break through the level. Moreover, if you fail to break through the level and are sent out of the Tongtian Tower, you can continue to make a comeback and enter the Tongtian Tower to break through the level. Only those who have obtained the Talisman of Heaven in the Tongtian Tower can no longer enter the Tongtian Tower. There is the existence of the 6th level Xian so soon, and it has successfully passed the taboo realm. If I didn't know that the Heavenly Dao Talisman can only recognize one owner, and when the person who gets it, it will automatically recognize the master, I wonder if someone borrowed the Heavenly Dao Talisman to Meng Han. Come on! Go. Try to win the heavenly Tao talisman, overcome the taboo realm, and become the fourth existence after the history is cut off to surpass the world venerable powerhouse. A group of world venerables from the 10,000 worlds had no more worries at this time, and rushed into the Tongtian Tower one after another, wanting to see how difficult the Qian related to the heavenly talisman in the Tongtian Tower was. Even if it was a group of Jesuan who failed to go through the Tongtian Tower and returned, if they were not injured, it would take a certain amount of time to recover to their heyday, and they must have rushed into the Tongtian Tower. Among them, there are also people who are as famous as Lei Hong and Fang Yifan. The reason why Lei Hong and Fang Yifan succeeded and they failed was not because they were weaker than the two, but because they were either unlucky or careless on some levels. The next time they enter the Tongtian Pagoda, they are more than 80% sure that they will be able to take down the heavenly Tao talisman. This moment, not just myriad realms. At this moment, even the land outside the boundary is not peaceful. A group of saints who were still worried before rushed into the Tongtian Pagoda. Old Meng successfully crossed the tribulation so quickly and broke through. The Saint Zhaoani of the Qingyun sacred sect was also stunned for a long time after seeing the words of the Way of Heaven, before he came back to his senses, and at the same time sent a message to congratulate Meng Han. Old Meng, congratulations. At this moment, Zhaoani was filled with emotions. A month ago, he watched Meng Han enter the Tongtian Tower with his own eyes. He should be the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower after it was opened. After that, he didn't know if the other party came out. Unexpectedly, in just over a month, the other party not only came out, but also successfully obtained the heavenly Tao talisman, and passed through the taboo realm heavenly tribulation silently, stepping into the 7th level of Xion. Meng Han's efficiency, in his opinion, can be said to be off the mark. Soon, there was a response from Meng Han. Xiao Zhao, after I entered Tongtian Tower a month ago, you should have followed me in. There was a bit of emotion and pity in the tone. Back then, he ran into Zhao Ani there, and learned from him that he had no plans to enter Tongtian Tower for the time being. Moreover, now he is with Lei Hong from the myriad realms of Bright Light Realm, and Fang Yifan from the Feathering Realm, knowing that the two of them are following him, entering the Tongtian Tower 2nd and 3rd. I also learned something from the two of them. Old Meng, what do you mean? Zhao Enya's heart skipped a beat. Hearing the other party's tone, he faintly had an ominous premonition, as if he had lost something extremely important. Lei Hong from the Bright Light Realm, and Fang Yifan from the Feather Transformation Realm, just arrived at Bibo Tianfu to find me. Mr. Meng continued to send messages. I learned from them that Fang Yifan was the second person to enter the Tongtian Tower. In view of his courage, the heavenly Tao reduced the difficulty of breaking through the level by 20%, so he successfully passed the level. Arrived at the heavenly Tao talisman. I asked him about the exact time he entered. More than a day later than me. Meng Lao said, the difficulty has been reduced by 20%. With your strength, Xiao Zhao, it shouldn't be difficult to take down the heavenly Tao talisman in the Tongtian Pagoda. Hearing this, Zhao Enya's complexion turned blue and pale for a while. He never expected that such an outrageous thing would happen. God, is it so humane? At this time, Meng Lao's message continued. The Lei Hong of the Bright Light Realm entered the Tongtian Tower an hour later than Yifan, and he was also the third to enter the Tongtian Tower. His difficulty of breaking through the level was reduced by 10%. So he also got the heavenly Tao talisman. And the third is welfare? At this time, Zhaoani couldn't help thinking of Meng Han, the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower, and asked with a slightly trembling tone, Old Meng, you are the first person to enter Tongtian Tower. You should be taken care of by heavenly Tao, right? The second person who enters the Tongtian Tower, the difficulty of breaking through the level is reduced by 20%. The third one, the difficulty is reduced by 10%. As the first one, is the difficulty reduced by 30%? If this is the case, if time can be turned back, he will definitely rush into the Tongtian Tower before Meng Han and seize this benefit. That's right. Soon, Meng Han replied, confirming Zhao Enya's guess. However, As the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower, the care I get is more than that. In addition to reducing the difficulty by 30%, after I successfully broke through the level, in addition to the rewards that Tiandao said earlier, the 3 Heavenly Dao Talismans, Tiandao also gave me an extra Heavenly Dao Talisman. Hearing this, Zhao Ani felt that his heart was not only shaking, but also bleeding. Why? Why? Why didn't he break into the Tongtian Tower before Meng Han? If he did that, all that Meng Han got would belong to him, Zhao Ani. Speaking of which, the reason why I was able to cross the taboo realm successfully this time is also inseparable from the 4th heavenly amulet. The 3 heavenly talismans are really not enough. If there are only 3 heavenly talismans, I'm only 10% sure that I will survive the forbidden realm. The 4th heavenly talisman is so crucial. It not only saved my life, but also helped me become the 3rd existence beyond the saint after the distance of history. What Meng Han said later was like pouring salt on Zhao Enya's wound. Old Meng, I have something else to do, so let's not talk about it for now. Zhao Ani replied to Meng Han and didn't continue to communicate with Meng Han, but he still regretted so much that he ran to a remote place and vented his anger vigorously. As far as the eye can see, everything was destroyed by him and razed to the ground. At the same time, Lei Hong and Fang Yifan also bid farewell to Meng Han, left Bibo Tianfu, and returned to Mingguang Realm and Yuhua Realm. At this moment, the faces of both of them were not very good-looking. They never expected that Meng Han got the 4th Heavenly Dao Talisman in Tongtian Tower. Chapter 4585. As the 2 who have already obtained the Talisman of Heaven, whether it is Lei Hong or Fang Yifan, they are very clear that the Talisman of Heaven has recognized the owner and can only be used by themselves, not for others. If you can't think about dispelling the Heavenly Dao Talisman and recognizing its owner, the Heavenly Dao Talisman will be turned into powder and disappear in smoke. On this point, the Way of Heaven is in Tongtian Pagoda. When they got the Talisman of the Way of Heaven, they also showed the words of the Way of Heaven, reminding them and dispelling their idea of getting another 1 or 2 talismans of the Way of Heaven. In the face of the taboo realm of catastrophe, the more heavenly talismans, the better. Missing a tiny bit, the difference is 1,000 miles. They are still clear about this point. I went to Meng Han this time. I thought that after communicating with him, I would have confidence in surviving the taboo realm. But I didn't expect it to extinguish my previous confidence. After Fang Yifan returned to the feathering realm, his face was still extremely gloomy and his heart was very heavy. According to what Meng Han said, when he was facing the taboo realm, even if he had 4 heavenly talismans in his hand, he almost failed in the end. If there are only 3 heavenly talismans, it is basically impossible for me to successfully cross the tribulation. These are Meng Han's original words. It is also because of this that he realized how important the 4th Heavenly Dao Talisman is. It seems that we still need to make more preparations for the catastrophe of the taboo realm. Forget it. I'm not in a hurry right now, just wait and see. Fang Yifan made a decision. The other side, Lei Hong, who returned to the Mingguang realm, was also in a very bad mood. This trip to Bibo Tianfu was completely beyond his expectations. The original confidence has also weakened. Of course, he wasn't nearly desperate like Fang Yifan. He still planned to actively attract the taboo realm catastrophe after preparing for a period of time. However, this time we have to prepare more carefully. So what if there are only 3 heavenly talismans? I, Lei Hong, am not afraid. The 7th level of Xian, I, Lei Hong, will definitely step in. I, Lei Hong, will become the 4th strong man to step into the 7th level of the strongest after the history is cut off. Feng Qingyang, Duan Lingtian, Meng Han. Soon, I will be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the 3 of you, especially the breeze. At that time, I want to learn your methods carefully. As for Feng Qingyang's blocking him from entering the Tongtian Tower, he still remembers it in his heart. If one day he also stepped into that realm, he would definitely ask Feng Qingyang for advice. The Outer Worlds, Thunder Saint Realm, Bibo Tianfu. Not long after sending Lei Hong and Fang Yifan away, some saints and Jesuin who came to congratulate them were welcomed. Of course, most of them came to inquire about news. They all want to explore the difficulty of the taboo realm heavenly tribulation through Meng Han's mouth, and hope that Meng Han can provide them with some experience, so that they can hope to pass through the taboo realm Tianjia in the future. These people are basically the ones who entered the Tongtian Tower but came out with nothing. Moreover, basically all were injured. If they hadn't been injured, most of them would have entered the Tongtian Tower again now to try to obtain the heavenly Dao talisman. Everyone, it's not a coincidence for you to come here. My uncle Meng Han left after sending away Jiehong Leihong and Fang Yifan from the Mingguang realm and Fang Yifan from the Yuhua realm not long ago. Another sage in Bibo Tianfu personally entertained a group of visitors, and at the same time told them a news that disappointed them. However, when they opened the warehouse again to the other party, their eyes suddenly lit up. Everyone, my master uncle knows the purpose of your visit, and he just wants to ask him about the situation of the taboo realm. He has relayed the matter to me. If you want to hear it, I can tell you. Immediately afterwards, under everyone's expectant gaze and listening, the other party also told them all about Meng Han's failure as a secret. And when they understood all that, they were all dumbfounded. The first one to enter the Tongtian Pagoda, get the scroll of the Way of Heaven, and the difficulty of breaking through the level is reduced by 30%. After successfully breaking through the level, you will be given an extra talisman of the Way of Heaven. They were all shocked, and at the same time, their hearts were full of jealousy. Why weren't they the first to enter the Tongtian Tower? Master Meng Han entered the Tongtian Tower so quickly. Is it because the entrance of the Tongtian Tower appeared near your Bibo Tianfu? Someone asked. No. The saint of Bibo Tianfu shook his head. There is no entrance to the Tongtian Tower near our Bibo Tianfu. The reason why my master uncle was able to enter the Tongtian Tower first is because our Bibo Tianfu has an old relationship with that Duanling Tian. Before becoming the most powerful person, he was still a disciple of the guardian of our Golden Dragon Hall in Bibo Tianfu. This time, it was Xiao Tianxi, the master of our Golden Dragon Palace, who approached Lord Duanling Tian and asked him for help. He hoped that my uncle could walk through the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda located in the Central Sea area. Master Feng Qingyang is the master of Lord Duanling Tian, and many of you must know it. Master Duanling Tian misses the old days, and greeted Master Feng Qingyang, and let my uncle walk through the main entrance of Tongtian Tower. Hearing this explanation, everyone felt helpless and even more jealous. Why did your Bibo Tianfu have a good relationship with someone like Duanling Tian in advance? Just stepping on luck. Hateful. Everyone, you must have also heard that World Honor Lei Hong from the Bright Light Realm and Fang Yifan from the Yuhua Realm successfully broke through the Tongtian Pagoda and obtained the Heavenly Dao Talisman, right? The sage from Bibo Tianfu asked again. Well, I heard. That guy Lei Hong, he often brags to me about this. Among the crowd, many people nodded. And then, they learned, Lei Hong, as the third person to enter the Tongtian Tower, the difficulty of breaking through the level has been reduced by 10%, but there is no extra heavenly amulet reward. Fang Yifan, as the second person to enter the Tongtian Tower, the difficulty of breaking through the level has been reduced by 20%, and there is no extra heavenly talisman reward. That guy, Lei Hong, didn't tell me about this. I'm still proud of it. If the difficulty of my pass is also reduced by 10%, I will definitely succeed in passing the pass. The person who said this is also a world venerable in the Mingguang realm, and he is as famous as Lei Hong, and his seniority is higher than Lei Hong. If we really want to fight, Lei Hong is not in vain. Lei Hong and Fang Yifan, are they so lucky? If I had known that there was such a reward, I would have fought for the second one to enter the Tongtian Tower even if I was desperate. A group of world venerables and saints are now not only jealous but more regretful. Everyone, looking at the world, and even the land outside the world, the person who regrets the most is probably not you. Seeing all the people coming from afar, all of them losing their composure, the saint of Bibo Tianfu couldn't help but start to comfort them. I heard from my uncle that there is a person who is not much weaker than him, and he arrived at the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower with him. Chapter 4586. That one is also very familiar with Lord Duan Lingtian. At that time, Lord Duan Lingtian even said bluntly that if he wanted to enter Tongtian Tower, he could also enter from there. Master Feng Qingyang has no objection either. If he had gone in at that time, the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower might not have been my uncle. Even if he didn't get the first place, he could still get the second place. Because Fang Yifan, the second person to enter the Tongtian Pagoda, entered the Tongtian Pagoda a day after my master uncle entered the Tongtian Pagoda. Hearing this, everyone's attention was indeed attracted. That unlucky ghost didn't grasp such a good opportunity? Who is that person? Yeah, talking about it makes everyone happy. At the same time, after venting near Qingyun's sacred sect, Zhao Ani, who finally calmed down, took a deep breath again, and then returned to Qingyun's sacred sect. After a few more days of calming down, he entered Tongtian Tower to break through and try to get the Amulet of Heaven. However, just after returning, he received a message from his nephew Guilin. Uncle, I have already captured Tuoba Lianqing, and now I am on my way back to the sect. The mission Master Duan Lingtian entrusted to us has been completed. In this way, after 1.5 months, Lord Duan Lingtian will come to our Bibo Tianfu, and we will be able to explain to him properly. Guilin's tone was somewhat relaxed. During this period of time, in order to find Tuoba Lianqing, he spent a lot of effort, and after several twists and turns, he finally found him. It took over a month. Good. Zhao Ani replied helplessly, with a rather tired tone. Lord Duan Lingtian? This little brat, it's really a pot that doesn't open and a pot to lift. He finally calmed down, and because the other party mentioned these 5 words, he was completely unwell. He still remembers that Lord Duan Lingtian said bluntly that he could enter Tongtian Tower through the main entrance of Tongtian Tower, but he refused. If he didn't refuse at that time, he would be the second person to enter Tongtian Tower. At this time, the 3 heavenly Dao talismans have already arrived. Sorry. Now, although he has already planned to enter the Tongtian Tower to win the heavenly Dao talisman, he really doesn't have much confidence in his heart, and he just wants to learn more and get acquainted with it first. Because he has also heard that many existences that are not weaker than him, and may even be slightly better than him, have not been able to successfully bring out the heavenly Dao talisman from the Tongtian Tower. No! It's over and I'm going to calm down. There is no medicine for regret in the world. Forget about these troubles. Forget about these. Under the self-paralysis, Zhao Ani finally calmed down again. However, not long after he calmed down this time, he received multiple summons again. He would not have been able to receive these messages before the Tiandao characters at the entrance of the new Tongtian Pagoda appeared, because they were all old friends outside the Qingyun sacred sect's territory. The last time the text of Tiandao appeared, I learned that Tongtian Tower had added multiple entrances. In order to share information, all parties have withdrawn the formation of isolating communication. When Zhao Ani opened these messages, his already calm face suddenly turned green. Old Zhao, I heard that you obviously had the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower for the first time, but you didn't go in and gave the opportunity to Meng Lao. You still respect the elders as always. Xiao Zhao, you have a good layout, and you actually gave Meng Lao the first chance to enter the Tongtian Tower, and he didn't follow behind. Why can't you discuss with that Lord Duan Lingtian and give me your chance? Then, I can completely replace Fang Yifan and become the second person to enter the Tongtian Tower. Zhao Ani, you old boy, did you fail this time? You don't cherish such a good opportunity. Ha ha. I laughed so hard. You said that if you were the first to enter the Tongtian Tower before that old guy Meng Han, you would be the first to enter Tongtian Tower. Aren't you the 3 Xian 7th levels? Seeing these summonses, Zhao Enya's old face glowed green. There is even more dissatisfaction in his eyes. This matter few people know. At that time, only Meng Han, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were the only ones who knew about it. He can be sure that it is absolutely impossible for Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang to spread the news. If so, it must be from Meng Han. Old Meng, you are not kind. Even if I didn't seize the opportunity at the time, you shouldn't have spread the matter to everyone. How will you let me meet people in the future? Now Zhao Ani wished to give Meng Han a few big mouths, but thinking that Meng Han was already beyond the existence of a saint, even though he was furious, he could only suppress his temper. However, after the interrogation, there was no response for a long time. Out of bounds. Or did Bibo Tianfu cut off the summons again? Thinking of this, Zhao Ani sent an order, and the Qingyun sacred sect also activated the formation of isolating the summons, and no longer let the outside summons come in. And before the formation was activated, he received many summons one after another. All of them came to make fun of him. Although most people didn't mean anything malicious, he was still very upset when he heard it. Knowing that the barriers of the formation were raised, he was purified. When I take that step in the future, I must ask that old fellow Meng Han for advice. Zhao Enya's eyes showed fierceness, and he said fiercely, myriad worlds, against God realm, the land left by the gods. Xiao Mubai, who was listening to Duan Lingshan's talk about the infinite way, suddenly received a summons. Then, without disturbing anyone else, he quietly retreated. After retreating, he still looked at Duan Lingtian reluctantly. After leaving the land of the gods, Xiao Mubai met an uninvited guest outside the gate of the Nishan realm. Before that, the other party had already revealed his identity to the most powerful person in the Nishan realm who was guarding the gate. Master Meng Han, this is our lord of the god-defying realm, Xiao Mubai. The person guarding the gate introduced to the other party. Xiao Mubai, I have met Master Meng Han. Before the other party could speak, Xiao Mubai had already bowed first, and at the same time he was full of doubts. How could this guy who had just broken through come to them against the god realm? Could it be that they came to discuss with those two? Ha ha! You don't need to be polite, Lord Xiao. I came here this time to thank Brother Duan Lingtian and Brother Feng Qingyang. Meng Han laughed and said that after stepping into the 7th level of Xian, his self-confidence returned, and the address for Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian also changed from adult to brother. But I don't know, are they in the god-defying realm now? If they are, please ask Realm Master Xiao to take me to see them. Meng Han said again. Xiao Mubai stepped through the door, sent a message, and after getting a response from Duan Lingtian and the other two, he brought Meng Han into the god-defying realm. Chapter 4587. When Meng Han followed Xiao Mubai, he was still preaching to a group of powerful people from the God against God realm. This is. Meng Han froze for a moment. He could naturally hear that Duan Lingtian was now talking about the infinite way of the 4 ways of heaven and earth. He is too familiar with this infinite way, because he is walking the infinite way. This time, he let the infinite way that had been suppressed for a long time go a step further, and stepped into the 7th level, which led to the taboo realm of heavenly tribulation, thus successfully crossing the tribulation, and successfully stepped into the 7th level of the strongest. My Lord Duan Lingtian is starting a class to preach for our strongest fighters in the god-defying realm. Xiao Mubai suppressed his voice, smiled and said to Meng Han, Master Duan Lingtian just sent a message to me. His sermon will take more than a day to finish. Let me arrange a place for you to stay. Wait for him after the sermon. I will visit you with Master Feng Qingyang. Master Feng Qingyang. I also want to hear Lord Duan Lingtian continue to preach. As Xiao Mubai said, he glanced at Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. And the two of them also looked at Meng Han beside him for the first time, nodded to Meng Han, and then withdrew their eyes and attention. It's okay. They'll just listen to Brother Duan Lingshan's sermon here. Meng Han smiled and said doubtfully, I remember, I heard someone said, Brother Duan Lingtian is good at the 4 ways of heaven and earth, it seems to be the way of swords. He now suspected that he had heard wrong. Although he had just listened to Duan Lingshan's preaching not long ago, Duan Lingshan's content on the infinite Tao at this time shocked him extremely, making him feel that the other party's attainments in the infinite Tao were not inferior to him. It is indeed the way of the sword. Xiao Mubai nodded. It's just that I didn't expect Mr. Duan Lingtian to have such deep attainments in the way of infinity. As for Duan Lingshan's previous talk about the way of control, he didn't take the initiative to bring it up. He felt that the other party was not someone from their god realm, so there was no need to expose Duan Lingshan's details too much. What? Hearing Xiao Mubai's reply, Meng Han realized that he hadn't misheard earlier. Duan Lingtian is indeed good at swordsmanship, which shocked him extremely. An existence that has taken that step in the way of the sword, and its attainments in the way of infinity, is it so terrifying? Evil doer. When Meng Han looked at Duan Lingtian again, his eyes were filled with indescribable horror. At the same time, when he continued to listen, he found that many of what Duan Lingtian said were even helpful to him, and he gradually became fascinated by listening. More than a day passed in a blink of an eye. When Duan Lingtian stopped preaching and opened his mouth to announce the end of the sermon, the group of strongest people in the god-defying realm still had something to say, but they did not forget to thank Duan Lingtian. Thank you, Duan Lingtian, for preaching for us. Thank you, Lord Duan Lingtian and Lord Feng Qingyang. After Duan Lingshan's sermon ended, none of the group of people left. Only some of them left when Duan Lingtian, Feng Qingyang and the unfamiliar old man left hand in hand. Someone also stared at the old man's back, frowned for a moment, and then exclaimed, I recognize him. He is Meng Han, a saint and strong man from Bibo Tianfu, the sacred land of mines outside the boundary. He is also the third Xian announced in the text of Tiandao yesterday. The seventh level exists. As soon as these words came out, some people who were about to leave immediately stopped in their tracks. A group of people looked at Xiao Mubai one after another. The person was brought by Xiao Mubai, and many people have seen it. It's Master Meng Han. He's here to find Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. Xiao Mubai said repeatedly. Master Meng Han was able to come to find the two adults on the day of the breakthrough, which shows that he has a deep friendship with the two adults. This is a very good thing for us in the Nishan realm. The other half-holy world lord laughed. As soon as these words came out, many people's eyes lit up. Yes, this is a good thing. The other side. After Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang left with Meng Han, he entered the space that Feng Qingyang arranged in the god's remains, and it was also a small part of the small world in his body that he cut. He left this space to be with the land of the gods. If something happened to the land of the gods in the future, not only his disciple Duan Lingtian would be able to come back as soon as possible, but he would also be able to come back as soon as possible. Feng Qingyang arranged the independent space he left in the land of the gods like a paradise, and there is a small tree of life growing in the middle. There are mountains and water inside. The air is fresh, the birds are singing, and the fragrance of flowers is beautiful. In the gazebo in front of a waterfall, beside the tea table, Duan Lingtian and Meng Han sat down one after another under the greeting of Feng Qingyang. Old Meng, you came to see us. Isn't it just to show off that you have stepped into the seventh step? While Feng Qingyang was making tea, Duan Lingtian looked at Meng Han and asked with a teasing smile. Meng Han entered the Tongtian Tower that day, and he watched it with his own eyes. At that time, he was still thinking about whether this person could get the Heavenly Dao Talisman from the Tongtian Tower, and whether he could use the Heavenly Dao Talisman to survive the Taboo Realm. Unexpectedly, in just over a month, the other party successfully passed through the Taboo Realm. The Heavenly Dao Talisman was obviously taken by him. Of course not. Meng Han smiled and shook his head, then straightened his face and said, I'm here to thank you. At the same time, I also want to make a statement in front of you. From now on, I owe each of you a favor. In the future, whatever you ask for, I will never refuse if I do my best. Meng Han spoke very seriously. At the same time, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were deeply surprised. They looked at each other, and they didn't expect the other party to come out like this. Even, I feel that the other party's statement is a bit too exaggerated. The opponent is now the existence of the 7th level Xian. The two communicated through sound transmission for a while, but they couldn't figure out why the other party would make such a promise in front of them. In the end, I decided to ask myself, Old Meng, we didn't seem to help you with anything, did we? Even if we don't let you enter Tongtian Tower through the main entrance, you can find another entrance to enter by yourself. Duan Lingtian said. No. I succeeded this time because you let me enter from the main entrance of Tongtian Tower. Then, Meng Han recounted his experience to Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, and finally sighed. Without the fourth heavenly amulet, the probability of my success in crossing the tribulation is probably less than 10%. Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were also stunned. They never expected that their random decision would give Meng Han such an opportunity. The first person to enter the Tongtian Tower has such a reward? It's outrageous. The difficulty has been reduced by 30%. Aren't those 3 heavenly talismans equivalent to gifts? The most outrageous thing is, after successfully breaking through the level, can you still get an extra heavenly Dao talisman? Chapter 4588. The first person to enter the Tongtian Pagoda has such benefits. I guess the second person will also have a good reward, right? Feng Qingyang glanced at Duan Lingtian and guessed. At this time, Duan Lingtian thought of someone, and his face became a little weird. It was the Zhao Ani of the Qingyun sect. At that time, Zhao Ani came to the Tongtian Tower with Meng Han, and he told Zhao Ani that he could also enter the Tongtian Tower through the main entrance, but the other party didn't plan to go in for the time being. The second person who enters the Tongtian Tower will indeed be rewarded. Hearing Feng Qingyang's words, Meng Han told him that Fang Yifan and Lei Hong from the upper 3 realms had approached him. They are the second and third people to enter the Tongtian Tower. Fang Yifan was the second to enter, and the benefits he got were: the difficulty of breaking through the level was reduced by 20%, but after he succeeded, there was no heavenly Dao talisman as a reward. Lei Hong is the third to go in, and the difficulty of breaking through the level is reduced by 10%, and there is no reward for the Amulet of Heaven. Speaking of this, he paused for a moment and then said, according to the welfare trends of the 3 of us, the fourth person who enters Tongtian Tower should not have these benefits. Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were stunned when they heard the words. Besides, in fact, the level of Tongtian Tower is not easy to pass. I have communicated with Lei Hong. Even for him, it is very difficult to pass the level. Fang Yifan is a little easier, after all, the difficulty is 10% lower than Lei Hong's. At this time, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang also learned from Meng Han that so far as Meng Han knew, only Lei Hong and Fang Yifan had obtained the Heavenly Dao Amulet. They are all from the upper 3 realms. As for the saints in the land outside the realm, before he came to Nishan realm, he hadn't heard of anyone who had obtained the Amulet of Heaven. Anyway, I still want to congratulate you, Mr. Meng. Duan Lingtian raised his teacup, replaced wine with tea, and toasted Mr. Meng. From now on, Mr. Meng, you will be the number 1 person outside the world. Hearing this, Meng Han also raised his teacup, laughed and said humbly, it's just a temporary first person. I know myself, and if I look beyond my horizon, there are still a dozen or so people whose strength is not weaker than mine. When some of them break through, I'm not sure I can defeat them. After some chatting, Meng Han revealed his second reason for coming here. I just broke through, and I felt a sense of loneliness. I just felt that I could be called invincible if I looked outside the world. Thinking of you too makes my hands itch. Here, in addition to promising that you two will each have a favor, I also want to discuss with the 2 of you. What do you 2 think? Between Meng Han's words, his eyes were bright. Oh! Duan Lingtian was a little surprised. Old Meng is so confident in his own strength? Want to challenge the 2 of us at once, 1 against 2? Puff dash! Duan Lingtian was so frightened that the tea that Meng Han had just swallowed was sprayed out by him. Fortunately, Feng Qingyang shot in time and annihilated all the tea that Meng Han blurted out in the air, so that it did not spray on him and Duan Lingtian. You boy, when did the old man say that 1 is going to fight 2? What I mean is, I will have a separate game with you. Meng Han said unhappily. He thought this kid did it on purpose. What a joke! Although he has also made a breakthrough, and he is confident that his strength is not weaker than any of Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, but if he encounters two people joining forces, he will definitely be looking for abuse. He's not so fluffy yet. I see. Duan Lingtian was stunned, and then looked at Feng Qingyang. Master, did you make the move against Mr. Meng? Or did I do it? Let me do it. Feng Qingyang stood up and looked at Meng Han with a smile. Old Meng, my disciple has long been better than Blue. If you can't beat me, you don't have to waste time competing with him. Hearing this, Meng Hantong shrank slightly, and then thought of Duan Lingshan's profound attainments in the way of infinity. Therefore, he believed Feng Qingyang's words. Even so, I still want to compete with him. Even if I lose, I still want to see the gap between me and him. Meng Han said. Meng Han hasn't fought against anyone for many years. For nearly 10,000 years, he was either recuperating from his injuries or making various preparations for the coming of the 10,000 years calamity. This time, he survived the taboo realm and stepped into the 7th level of Xian. He is confident that he will easily survive the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. What's more, it's not a big problem to live for tens of thousands of years, or even 100,000 years. Old Meng, please. Feng Qingyang stood up first, mainly because he was worried that after his disciple had competed with the opponent would not have the energy to compete with him, or that his poor state would make him invincible. In fact, Feng Qingyang is also happy with Meng Han, who is newly promoted to the 7th rank of Xian. Mainly to compete with his disciple Duan Lingtian, it was too helpless. Completely crushed and beaten. His disciple, in addition to swordsmanship, is also good at the way of control and the way of infinity, and the power of different laws, because the power in the body can only be combined with the restriction of one kind of law power, and there is no way to use it at the same time, but the 4 ways of heaven and earth are possible. Moreover, if they all use the avatar of the law, the strength of his disciple will be even more terrifying. In addition to exerting the power of different laws, each law avatar can also perform the way of swordsmanship, the way of control, and the way of infinity. How can this be played? Next, Duan Lingtian looked lively. Because this is the small world in his master's body, the two of them went outside to compete, and especially found a broken realm so that they could completely let go of their hands and feet to fight. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering bang, Meng Han took the lead, like turning into a ferocious beast, rushing towards the place where Feng Qingyang was. Wherever he passed, the sound of thunder came and went, and even bursts of thunder and lightning swept up from him, turning into a huge beam of thunder and lightning, as if to pierce the sky. On the other hand, Feng Qingyang, facing the menacing Meng Han, held a sword glow in his hand, and the sword glow soared into the sky, shaking the world, with menacing momentum. Stop! There was an ear-piercing howl of the sword, and the wind lightly raised the people to follow the movement of the sword, and also went up to meet it. In an instant, the two had their first confrontation. Boom! The loud noise was deafening, and in the place where the two fought, hideous space cracks appeared one after another, as if the surrounding space was torn apart. The cracks and black holes in the surrounding space were shaken open before they could heal. In the blink of an eye, the two fought for hundreds of rounds. I'm going to use the power of my blood, Meng Han yelled loudly, reminded him, and at the same time, his body was full of blood, and he had unleashed the special method of the aborigines of the outside world, the secret skill of blood. Of course, as a person of all worlds, Feng Qingyang also has a clone of laws to rely on. Chapter 4589. Meng Han mobilized the power of his blood. The secret technique appeared, and a monstrous blood shadow swept up from his body, and then it was as short-lived as a flash in the pan. At the same time, his real deity also turned into a huge monster like a blood shadow that had just flashed in the pan. A towering giant, covered in blood and mixed with biting cold air. That's right. The law that Meng Han is good at is the extended branch of the 5 elements law, the ice element law. At this time, Meng Han seemed to have turned into an ice giant, with his big hands roaring out, like dark clouds pressing down on the city, enveloping towards the wind. At this time, the wind was light, and in front of Meng Han's big hand, it was not as big as Meng Han's little finger. This slap gave people a feeling of slapping insects. Wow! Crash! At this moment, when Meng Han made a move, not only did he have a domineering momentum, but the temperature of the surrounding air also dropped suddenly. Bursts of frightening cold permeated the surroundings, and even the black holes and cracks in the space seemed to slow down the shrinking trend. Seeing that this palm was about to fall on Feng Qingyang's body. But Feng Qingyang disappeared in place out of thin air, as if using the teleportation method of the law of space. However, just relying on Meng Han's shot just now, even someone who is good at the law of space, it is absolutely impossible to use the teleportation method in the oscillating surrounding space. Therefore, Feng Qingyang did not really perform teleportation. Instead, he used the deceleration and short-term static means of the law of time, which made Meng Han's shot a lot slower in his world, and he also took the opportunity to dodge and leave. With his method of time law, not only Meng Han was greatly affected, even Duan Lingtian, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, was also greatly affected without extending his spiritual consciousness. The law of time? After the first blow failed, Meng Han quickly retreated, using retreat as an advance, and opened the distance, because a faint chill rose in his heart, and he felt that Feng Qingyang, who disappeared in place next, must have a back move. Stop! Sure enough, at the moment when Meng Han retreated decisively, a sword light seemed to cross the space, ignoring the moment, passing through the space where he was just now. In an instant, that piece of space is like a huge curtain, with sharp weapons pierced from top to bottom, and the terrifying murderous intent contained in it can be clearly perceived from a long distance. If he hadn't dodged just now, although he wouldn't have been split in two, he would definitely have been injured. Next, I won't hold back anymore. Feng Qingyang opened his mouth calmly, and then the clones of the laws appeared one by one. Although the attainments of other laws are far inferior to the law of time, they can all display the 7th-level swordsmanship. Even if Meng Han used the infinite way to fuse himself with the blood secret technique to turn him into a giant, but under the cooperation of Feng Qingyang himself and the clone of the law, he often fell into a disadvantage. He has the ability to withdraw from the battle, and even if this is a life-and-death battle, he is sure to escape. However, if he continues to stand, he will gradually lose, and may even be killed. I'm not your match. Finally, Meng Han sighed and withdrew from the battle. At the same time, his face was disappointed, and his eyes were somewhat dazed and confused, unwilling to accept the result in front of him. A few years ago, a little guy who was only a mid-level god had just appeared in front of the world because he had passed through the taboo realm and was announced by the Tao of Heaven. After quickly stepping into the strongest realm, straight to the 7th level of the strongest, in his opinion, the opponent must be unstable. If he fights with him, even if he doesn't defeat me, he will definitely be able to suppress the opponent. Unexpectedly, the ending was just the opposite. This wind is light and has rich combat experience. He is not weaker than him who has lived for hundreds of thousands of years. The law of time has suppressed his ice law, showing the strength of the 4 supreme laws. His bloodline secret technique, the opponent also has a clone of the law, although the strength is not as good as the deity, but it should not be underestimated. At least with his current strength, he does not feel ignored. Concession. Seeing Meng Han admitting defeat, Feng Qingyang also stopped, smiled calmly, and nodded to Meng Han. At this moment, he felt his self-confidence returned. Although he didn't mind being defeated by his disciple Duan Lingtian before, his self-confidence was still a little hit, but now that he has suppressed Meng Han and Meng Han conceded, he feels that all the lost self-confidence has returned. Now, I feel that even if a 7th-level powerhouse is born in myriad worlds and outer worlds, besides his disciple Duan Lingtian, he is worthy of everyone else. Brother Feng Qingyang, you are worthy of Brother Duan Lingshan's method. Your strength is admirable. Meng Han looked at Feng Qingyang, sighed, and then looked at Duan Lingtian. Although, I believe that your strength is better than your master, but I still want to see your methods and the gap between you and me. Wait for me to recover for a while. After I recover, you can compete with me. Don't hold back. Just shoot with all your strength and see how long I can last. Now, Duan Lingtian is undoubtedly a more terrifying figure in his eyes. Not only has he entered the 7th level of swordsmanship, but even his attainment in the way of infinity is estimated to be above the 7th level, or at least the 6th level. Chapter 4590. Now, Duan Tian even faintly expects that there will be more Xian 7th level existences in this world, so that he will not be lonely, and he does not need to feel the loneliness of being so high. Of course, at the same time, he was also quite curious about the illusory day of heaven, and didn't know what kind of plan the other party was doing. In the past, the 7th level of Xian did not appear, and the way of heaven never appeared. It wasn't until he passed the taboo realm of heavenly calamity that heavenly Tao appeared and announced to the world in the words of heavenly Tao, telling all life in the world that Duan Tian had passed the taboo realm of heavenly calamity. And before that, neither he nor a group of old antiques in the Nishan realm had ever heard that the Tao of heaven would appear again, or even intervene in the world. Of course, instead of directly intervening, it can only be regarded as indirect intervening. When there was no Xian 7th level before, I didn't see the heavenly Tao descending the Tian Tian Tower and sending out the heavenly Tao talisman. Knowing that Master and I have stepped into the 7th level of the strongest, Tian Tao did this. Is this really targeting us? According to the memory of the old man Wukong, Tian Tao can't directly attack people. If it is to target us, it is understandable for Tian Tao to do so. If it's not aimed at us, it is that Tian Tao set up a rule early on: as long as someone steps into the 7th level of the strongest, they will lower the Tong Tian Tower? And after 2 people stepped in? What a coincidence! Combining the 2 guesses, Duan Tian still prefers the former. The way of heaven, it was to target him and his master that he lowered the Tong Tian Pagoda. No matter what the situation is, I, Duan Tian, have no fear. There is always a solution to a problem. In Duan Lingshan's eyes, there was a sharp light. In the past, when he was still in his infancy, he dared to fight and kill without fear of the strong, overcame thorns and thorns all the way, after going through life and death, to achieve today's achievements. Naturally, he would not be overwhelmed by the difficulties in front of him. Before, he had no strength and didn't fall down. Now, he has the strength to look down on the world, and he is even more fearless. Moreover, I have the memory of the old man Wukong, so I can inherit everything from him in the shortest possible time, catch up with his past steps, and step into the Xian 9th rank. Even, maybe you can go a step further, and step into the realm guest in the memory of the old man Wukong, which can stand shoulder to shoulder with the way of heaven. Duan Tian is full of curiosity about the realm that Wukong old man conceived and guessed, but at the same time he is quite yearning. What kind of realm is it that can be said to be comparable to the way of heaven? Of course, this might just be the old man's guess. However, he still looks forward to it and wants to give it a try. The Outer Worlds. Qingyun Holy Sect. Guilin, since you're back, the Zongman side will be left to you as usual. Zhaoani looked at Guilin, who had just brought Tuoba Lianqing back, and said solemnly, "In a while, Master Duan Tian will be here. If I haven't come out of Tongtian Tower by then, you should greet him well and hand over Tuoba Lianqing and Han Jiang to him." After Guilin solemnly responded, Zhaoani left and went to the nearest Tongtian Tower entrance. He really couldn't bear it anymore. He planned to enter the Tongtian Tower later, but thinking that he had missed the benefits given by the heavenly Tao in the Tongtian Tower, he wanted to vomit blood every time he thought about it. Almost bewildered, it's better to take a trip to the Tongtian Tower. Even if you can't get the Talisman of Heaven, you can accumulate some experience, and after fighting for it, you can go in and get the Talisman of Heaven. At that time, he, Zhaoani, may not be able to step into the 7th level of the strongest like Meng Han of Bibo Tianfu. Previously, Zhaoani had heard from those who entered Tongtian Tower that some people only stayed for half a month after entering Tongtian Tower and leaving Tongtian Tower, while others stayed for more than a month. However, Lei Hong and Gui Yifan, who got the Talisman of Heaven, did not stay in it for more than a month. This shows that if you don't stay in it for a long time, you have a greater chance of getting the Heavenly Tao Talisman. It still depends on strength and efficiency. When the efficiency increases, the consumption will definitely be less, and it will naturally be able to cope with the subsequent levels better. If it is not efficient enough, the strength in the body will be almost exhausted, and it will naturally be even more difficult to face the next level. This is common sense. When Zhao Ani entered Tongtian Tower this time, he planned to stay there for more than a month, but he didn't expect to come out in just 21 days. Puff dash! Zhao Ani, who opened his mouth to spit out a big mouthful of blood, turned pale for a while, and his eyes showed a look of concern. The next level is really scary. If I were in my heyday, I could easily pass by. However, at that time, I couldn't retain so much strength at all. Zhao Ani sighed softly and reviewed it in his mind, feeling that he had done useless work in many levels, and it wasted a lot of energy for nothing. If I go in next time, I will definitely be more efficient and even save more effort. After the injury recovers, it is not impossible to pass all the checkpoints in the Tongtian Tower if you enter a few more times. Under normal circumstances, the best choice for Zhao Ani, who was injured outside, is to recuperate where he was injured and leave only after his injuries improve to avoid being attacked. He has many friends and many enemies in the outside world. Although his enemies didn't know that he had entered the Tongtian Tower, they had to guard against it. Not long after sending out a summons, Zhao Ani saw Guilin rushing over, and then returned to Qingyun's sacred sect under Guilin's escort. "Uncle, are you hurt so badly?" On the way, Guilin hadn't noticed anything because Zhao Enya's spiritual sense was hindering him, but when he returned to Qingyun's sacred sect, after Zhao Ani put away his spiritual sense and let Guilin observe, Guilin couldn't help but gasp in shock. "Air conditioning? No way, the first time I went in, I have no experience," Zhao Ani said helplessly, and then told Guilin about his experience inside. Although in the future when you enter the Tongtian Tower, the barriers you encounter may not be the same as what I encountered. However, you can still listen to some experience in advance, so that you can avoid detours when you go in later. Hearing this, Guilin hastily listened carefully, not daring to slack off in the slightest. Half a day later, Zhao Ani had almost finished speaking and went back to the training ground to retreat and recuperate. The period of March is here in the blink of an eye. Time flies. Duan Lingtian left the god-defying realm, went to a place outside the realm, and went directly to the Qingyun sacred sect of the Thunder Sacred Realm. After Guilin learned about it, he went out to greet him personally. "Welcome, Lord Duan Lingtian." Duan Lingtian nodded to Guilin, then glanced behind him, and found that no one was coming, so he couldn't help asking, "Where's old Zhao?" Chapter 4591. Facing Duan Lingshan's question, Guilin smiled wryly and said, "Master Uncle entered Tongtian Pagoda some time ago, and came out with some injuries, and is recuperating. However, Uncle Master said that if Lord Duan Lingtian wants to see him, he can be summoned." Hearing Guilin's words, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but wonder, has he entered Tongtian Tower? Didn't he say he didn't plan to go in for the time being? The last time he was asked to go in with the old Meng of Bibo Tianfu, he didn't go in, but he went in by himself later? Hearing Duan Lingshan's self-talk, Guilin smiled even more bitterly. He also knew about that matter. For this reason, he knew that his uncle regretted it to death. "Lord Duan Lingtian, Uncle Master, he heard that the second and third people who entered the Tongtian Tower had the benefits bestowed by heaven, which reduced the difficulty of passing through the level, but he missed the second opportunity to enter, and he felt that so unbalanced that it went to babble." Hearing Guilin's words, Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled. "I see. However, there's nothing wrong with this matter. After all, Tiandao didn't inform you in advance that the first 3 people who enter Tongtian Tower will have special benefits. There's no need to call him. The purpose of my visit this time is for those 2 people. Has everyone been arrested?" Duan Lingtian asked straight to the point. "They're all there. I'm going to bring them out." After Guilin finished speaking, he left and came back not long after, bringing with him 2 people who were weak and obviously seriously injured. It was Han Jiang and Tuoba Lianxing, the person who joined forces with the Fu family Banshing to kill Duan Yuwei in the past. As for injuring them, it was also for the other semi-sages in Qingyuan Hangzong to take better care of them, lest any accidents happen, and they were even more afraid that they would run away. As a sage, Guolin's status in the Qingyun sacred sect is there, so it is impossible for him to condescend to guard them all the time. Master Duan Lingtian. Seeing Duan Lingtian, Han Jiang and Tuoba Lianqing knelt down together, their bodies trembling and their voices trembling. The death of Yui Banxing in the past was purely the work of Du Liangming of the Fu family, and has nothing to do with us. Before Guolin brought them here, he had already told them that he would hand them over to Duan Lingtian. Therefore, when they saw Duan Lingtian himself, they knelt down and begged for mercy, shirking responsibility, and only hoped to save their lives. Laugh! Duan Lingtian looked at the two of them indifferently and said calmly, "If you didn't work together, Fu Liangming would be alone. I'm afraid I won't be able to kill my sister Yu Wei." Hearing this, Han Jiang and the two felt desperate, but they didn't stop begging for mercy. Master Duan Lingtian, I am willing to plead guilty. As long as you are willing to spare my life, from now on, I am willing to follow your lead. Lord Duan Lingtian, you spare my life. In the future, I will be a dog by your side, and I will be at your command at any time. The two of them took this as the last straw, and it was the most valuable thing they could give. They both hoped that the person in front of them would appreciate it and spare their lives. When Duan Lingtian heard the words, he smiled contemptuously. Now, if he wants to find someone to follow, let alone a semi-saint, even an ordinary saint would be willing to follow him. He didn't talk nonsense with the two of them anymore, and directly took their lives. The vows of the two of them were self-destructed. Although he had the opportunity to coax the two of them and let them lift the vows and admit their masters first, he didn't do that because he disdainful, and he didn't think there was anything in the hands of the two that he liked thing. The two half-saints were killed in a blink of an eye, and only two supreme godheads were left behind, which were taken away by Duan Lingtian. In the future, take care of the Duan family. Before leaving, Duan Lingtian glanced at Guolin and said calmly, "Without the Duan family who is relying on Bansheng, these years must not be easy, but if Qingyun Shengzong is willing to take care of it, they can naturally live well, at least not as jet-lagged as his sister Yu Wei. Bibo Tianfu will definitely not treat the Duan family badly. Let Qingyun Shengzong take care of the Duan family together, and hope that the Duan family will get better and better in the future." "Yes, Lord Duan Lingtian," Guolin responded respectfully, not daring to be negligent. "Not long ago, my uncle and I ordered the people below to treat Bibo Tianfu Duan's family well. Today, I will personally go to Bibo Tianfu and Duan's house, so that they can come to Qingyun Sacred Sect directly to find me if they have any troubles in the future. This is also equivalent to flattering Duan Lingtian. Although the Duan family is not a force in the Qingyun Sacred Sect area, it does not affect them to take care of the Duan family. He even planned to ask the Duan family if they would like to come to Qingyun Shengzong to develop in the past today. Qingyun Shengzong is willing to rebuild a more glorious Duan family for them in their own area. Duan Lingtian nodded. "If you do well, I will definitely repay you in the future." Hearing this, Guolin immediately showed a bright smile. Isn't this what he longed for? The promise of an existence beyond the saint is no different from a life-saving talisman to Qingyun Shengzong. He knew very well. After the addition of multiple entrances to the Tongtian Tower, it will definitely become the norm for saints and Jiezun to enter the Tongtian Tower to break through and take the talisman of heaven. In the future, there will definitely be more Xian 7th Order existences. He also knew that his uncle's strength was inferior to that of Bibo Tianfus Menglao. Even if he could get the Heavenly Dao Talisman in a short time, he would definitely not dare to usher in the taboo realm of catastrophe easily. Now, Qingyun Shengzong, as a saint force, has a detached status in a place outside the boundary where there is only one extreme 7th level. But with the increase of the strongest 7th level existence in the land outside the boundary, the status of Qingyun Holy Sect will inevitably drop again and again. At that time, maybe someone will be watching. Under such circumstances, having a good relationship with Lord Duan Lingtian is naturally the most important thing. After leaving Qingyun Sacred Sect, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry to return to Nishan Realm. Instead, looking back all the way the road that I walked from the Red Demon Ridge when I came to the outside world in the past, there were noble people helping me along the way, and there were also evil spirits in power. In the past, his abilities were limited. Now that he has strength, he will naturally repay kindness and revenge. People who met in the past, seeing Duan Lingtian again, and knowing that Duan Lingtian is the second Xian 7th level powerhouse after the historical severance, were all shocked. Although they also guessed when they saw the words of Tian Dao in the past, they didn't expect that it was really the Duan Lingtian they knew. People who are kind to Duan Lingtian are delighted and excited. People who have hatred for Duan Lingtian, when they are in despair, regret that they offended each other in the past, and even more regret that they did not kill the grass and roots in the past. After spending a while, Duan Lingtian took another trip to Bibo Tianfu after finishing all the matters in the outer boundary. I think our Duan family can't make him face. The current elder of the Duan family spoke excitedly in the Duan family's meeting hall. He supported the migration of the Duan family. At this time, the patriarch of the Duan family did not speak for the time being, but sent a message to the master of the Golden Dragon Hall of Bibo Tianfu, informing him of this matter. The master of the Golden Dragon Palace, after he came to help the Duan family last time, left him a soul orb, so that he can contact him if he has any embarrassing things in the future. He will help the Duan family solve it. Because of this, the patriarch of the Duan family greeted the Qingyun sect sage who invited the Duan family to relocate. What? And when Xiao Tianxi, who was in Bibo Tianfu, received the news, he was also shocked. The sage of the Qingyun sect, Master Guilin, personally invited the Duan family to migrate to their side. At this time, he couldn't help thinking that Duan Lingtian seemed to be quite familiar with Zhaoani, the saint of Qingyun sect. Thinking about the special status of the Duan family in Duan Lingshan's mind, he didn't go directly to the Duan family, because he felt that his rank was not enough, and he had to let the saints of Qingyun sect. At first he wanted to find someone else, but instead he went to find his ancestor Meng Han. What? The guy from Qingyun sect came to our Bibo Tianfu to poach the wall. Dig it? Or the family that brother Duan Lingtian stayed in? After Meng Han learned the ins and outs of the matter from Xiao Tianxi, he asked Xiao Tianxi to lead the way to Duan's house immediately. Chapter 4593. At the meeting of the Duan family, the high-level voted and unanimously decided to agree to the request of the saint from Qingyun sect, and move the Duan family to the area of Qingyun's sacred sect. After all, the other party gave too much. Although in Bibo Tianfu they can also be treated preferentially, but compared with what the other party promised, it is insignificant. However, they were about to agree to Guilin, a sage from Qingyun's sect, but they were stopped by an old man from Bibo Tianfu. Guilin, you kid has really grown up. You dare to dig the corner of our Bibo Tianfu? An old and powerful voice resounded throughout the Duan family's mansion. It was Meng Han who rushed over with Xiao Tianxi. His tone was extremely unfriendly, and the distance was far away. His spiritual sense swept over him, which made Guilin feel a lot of pressure. Guilin, I met Mr. Meng. Guilin showed a look of horror, and he was only thinking of tricking the Duan family into their Qingyun sacred sect, so that he could further make friends with that Lord Duan Lingtian. Unexpectedly, this old Meng from Bibo Tianfu came to trouble him in person. Originally, in his expectation, Bibo Tianfu would not necessarily care whether the Duan family migrated away from Bibo Tianfu. After all, Bibo Tianfu now has the existence of the Xian 7th level. It may not be possible to make friends with Lord Duan Lingtian through such a family that doesn't even have a half-saint. The reason why he did this is entirely because their Qingyun sect is not yet a strong 7th level powerhouse. Guilin, you came to our Bibo Tianfu to poach the wall? Does Xiao Zhao know? Meng Han stared at Guilin and asked with a cold snort. Guilin smiled awkwardly when he heard this. Old Meng, am not poaching, am I? I'm here purely because that Lord Duan Lingtian from the God-defying realm entrusted me to take care of the Duan family. I come to Duan's house to communicate with them, and it's all based on their wishes. If they are willing to migrate to our side, I welcome it. If they don't want to, it's okay. The Duan family is just a family that doesn't even have a half-sage. Presumably, there is no shortage of Bibo Tianfu, right? Even in the past, in front of Meng Han, he didn't dare to do anything wrong. Not to mention, the current Meng Han is already beyond the existence of a saint. Master Xiao Tianxi? At the same time, some Duan family members present also recognized Xiao Tianxi behind Meng Han. Immediately afterwards, seeing the old man surrounded by Xiao Tianxi, and hearing Guolin's address to the old man, they vaguely guessed who this old man was. Meng Han, the saint and powerhouse of Bibo Tianfu, the first and strongest seventh-order existence in the outer worlds. Meet Master Meng Han. Meet Master Meng Han. At this moment, even the patriarch of the Duan family and the senior officials of the Duan family were shocked. They never expected that this giant Buddha would suddenly come to their Duan family. Moreover, it seems that they are still here for the saints and powerhouses of the Qingyun sect to invite their Duan family to the Qingyun sacred sect. Could it be that he wants to keep their Duan family? Can't it? Just like the saints of the Qingyun sacred sect, their Duan family has now lost their half-sage. As for the Lord Duan Lingtian who made friends with him, Bibo Tianfu wouldn't be so concerned about this kind of thing, could it? After all, Bibo Tianfu now has an existence that is not weaker than Lord Duan Lingtian, and it is the Lord Meng Han in front of him. Meng Han first nodded to everyone in the Duan family with a benevolent smile, but when he looked at Guolin again, he didn't have a good face. Who said that the Duan family doesn't have a half-sage, and we, Bibo Tianfu, don't care about them? Meng Han stared at Guolin and said, "You said Brother Duan Lingtian asked you to take care of the Duan family? So didn't he ask me to help take care of the Duan family?" Of course, what he said was to fool Guolin. Duan Lingtian really never told him about this. At most he asked Xiao Tianxi to take care of the Duan family. "Old Meng, if you don't want to let the Duan family leave, I will withdraw the previous invitation to the Duan family." Seeing that Meng Han didn't intend to let him take the Duan family away, Guolin shook his head with a wry smile, and then looked at the head of the Duan family. "Patriarch Duan, since Bibo Tianfu doesn't want you to leave, then your Duan family should stay in Bibo Tianfu well. With Master Duan Lingshan's relationship, Bibo Tianfu must take good care of you. However, in the future, if your Duan family needs help from Qingyun Sacred Sect for anything, you can come to Qingyun Sacred Sect to find me at any time." After the words fell, Guolin greeted Meng Han again after the head of the Duan family responded, and then withdrew. This big Buddha, he really can't afford it. At this time, Meng Han also withdrew his gaze from Guolin's faraway back, and turned to look at the Duan family members with a kind and charitable smile on his face. "What the guy promised to your Duan family just now, Bibo Tianfu can also give to you. In the future, if you need help with anything, you can find the people behind me. I'm sure you are familiar with him. He is the Lord of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu, Xiao Tianxi." If he hadn't gone to Nishan Realm to compete with Duan Lingtian, even if he knew that Guolin came from Qingyun Sacred Sect to invite the Duan family to migrate, he wouldn't care because he would feel that he was also at the 7th level of Xian, and there was no need to go through a small family to curry favor with Duan Lingtian, who is also the 7th level Xian. Chapter 4594. The long years have not left any traces on Kier. She is as young and lovely as before, with a beautiful face that is radiant, and a curvaceous figure that is charming. However, the first time after waking up, seeing the familiar and haunting handsome face in front of her eyes couldn't help but glisten, and the tears couldn't stop flowing down. Over the years, although her soul has been imprisoned, it does not mean that she is ignorant of everything around her. It's just that I can't control my body, and I can't communicate with people with my spiritual consciousness. I still have a sense of everything around me and know it in detail. She knew that the man in front of her left the God-defying realm for her, and went to a place outside the realm, looking for a way to release her soul from being imprisoned. How could she, as the daughter of the Xia family, who was the plane of the gods in the anti-god world, not know the dangers of the outside world? Brother Tian. Kier threw herself into Duan Lingshan's arms. Excited inexplicably, tears flowed down, soaking Duan Lingshan's clothes in a blink of an eye, but Duan Lingtian didn't seem to notice, tightly hugging Karener in his arms. Mouth he kept comforting me. It's okay, it's okay. In the future, nothing like this will ever happen to you again. From now on, we will not be separated, and I will be able to protect you. Duan Lingtian comforted, but his eyes were also a little red. Looking back on the past journey, what he was most worried about was that before he had enough ability to release his wife Kier's soul imprisonment, Kier's soul would be obliterated in the next step. So how can he accept it? The two hugged each other, and one kept crying, feeling sorry for the other. The other person kept speaking to comfort him, with a patient and gentle tone, grinning at the corner of his mouth, happy from the bottom of his heart. His beloved wife finally woke up. From now on, she will not let her suffer any harm. Not far away, Li Fei, Feng Tianwu, and Huaner stood there, silently watching the embracing couple, without bothering them. It was not until a long time later that they parted and noticed them that they stepped forward. Kerr, you're finally awake. Li Fei approached, and it was okay at first, but when she saw Kier's flowery face and opened her eyes, she seemed to have gone back to the past for a moment, and when she thought of the cruelty to Kier in recent times, she couldn't help crying slip and fall. The same is true for Feng Tianwu, who loves Kier. Huaner and Kier don't have much contact, but under the love of the house, they also feel distressed for Kier's experience. For the next period of time, Duan Lingtian stayed with the four girls, chat with them and talk about what happened to them in the outside world. He also patiently listened to the four girls' mental journey. That's right. In fact, Duan Lingtian didn't know much about the upper three realms. Now that he suddenly saw the word Mingguang realm, he felt a little familiar, as if he had heard it mentioned by the realm master Xiao Mubai at first. Region. This name reminded him of the communication with Xiao Mubai back then, and at the same time he finally recalled it. Xiao Mubai said that after he successfully passed through the taboo realm of heavenly tribulation and left the god-defying realm, powerful men from the upper three realms came together and threatened the god-defying realm to hand him over. If you don't pay, the god against god realm will be destroyed. Among them, Lei Hong from the Mingguang realm was among the few realm venerables who took the lead. However, because of the threat of leaving a message before he left, these Jezun from all the powerful worlds in the 10,000 worlds were deeply afraid that he would retaliate after breaking through in the future, so they didn't dare to do it in the end. Let the god against god realm escape. I remembered. The last time that old Meng came, he also mentioned Lei Hong. At this time, Duan Lingtian remembered that Meng Han from Bibo Tianfu, a place outside the world, had mentioned Lei Hong to him and his master when he came to Nishan realm after stepping into the 7th level of Xian. Lei Hong, the third person to enter the Tongtian Tower, also received the welfare care of the Heavenly Tao. The difficulty of breaking through the Tongtian Tower was reduced by 10%, and he got the Heavenly Tao amulet. They were also the only 3 people who got the Heavenly Tao talisman at that time. I didn't expect that Lei Hong, without the protection of the 4th Heavenly Talisman, also survived the taboo realm. Chapter 4595. Meng Han had told Duan Lingtian about the terrible taboos and catastrophes faced by Jesuan and saints of the 6th level. According to Meng Han's own words, that is to say, he has the 4th heavenly amulet in his hand. Otherwise, it is unlikely that he will successfully survive the taboo realm. Even so, there were still some injuries. It was entirely by the training of the new force after the breakthrough that the injury was fully recovered. Of course, the main reason is that he wasn't injured too badly. Now, Lei Hong in the Mingguang realm, after more than 10 years of getting the Heavenly Tao amulet, has successfully passed through the taboo realm, the difficulty of which can be imagined. It seems that Lao Meng was bragging last time. Duan Lingtian still remembers that last time when Meng Han mentioned Lei Hong from the Mingguang realm and Fang Yifan from the Feathering realm, He not only said that the two were top powerhouses in the upper three realms, but also that their strength was comparable to he is between brothers. Combining with what Meng Han said about the difficulty of facing the catastrophe in the taboo realm, since Lei Hong was able to break through the catastrophe smoothly, it means that his strength is probably higher than that of Meng Han. This Lei Hong is so powerful? The four girls around Duan Lingtian couldn't help but be surprised when they learned everything he knew from him. They didn't expect Lei Hong to survive such a difficult taboo. However, they didn't worry about their man because they already knew that their man's current strength, even in the existence of the 7th level Xian, was the top existence. Mastered the 3 of the 4 ways of heaven and earth, and their attainments are not low, and when they are displayed together, no one can match them in the same realm. When Duan Lingtian and the 4 girls around him were surprised. Outside, because of the appearance of the heavenly Tao text about Lei Hong, the quartet was shocked. That Lei Hong in the Mingguang realm is about to break through? Several world masters from the Nishan realm, including Xiao Mubai, quickly gathered together, and fear could not help but appear in their eyes. A Jezun, after passing through the taboo realm, can immediately step into the 7th level of the strongest. In front, Meng Han was like this. This Lei Hong is not a kind person, a world lord said in a deep voice. Really? Xiao Mubai nodded. The last time Master Duan Lingtian successfully passed the taboo realm, he attracted powerful men from the upper 3 realms to threaten us, and among them, Lei Hong is the most arrogant. Xiao Mubai still has a deep impression on Lei Hong's superior attitude at that time. Last time, because Lei Hong successfully entered the Tongtian Tower and successfully obtained the Heavenly Tao Talisman. But he didn't get it, his self-confidence was compromised a lot. However, when he learned from Bibo Tianfu, the place outside the boundary, the reason why Lei Hong was able to enter the Tongtian Tower once and get the Heavenly Tao Talisman was entirely because he was taken care of by the Heavenly Tao. As the 3rd person to enter Tongtian Tower, the difficulty of breaking through the level has been reduced by 10%. If he had such benefits, he would also be able to bring out the Heavenly Tao Talisman at once. Last time it was a bit too hard. Looking inside, the old man sighed and shook his head. Although it's not a serious injury, it won't take more than 100 years for this injury to heal. Now, I have a certain understanding of the various levels in Tongtian Tower. Even if the level may not be the same the second time I enter it, it is still the same. There is a big difference between experienced and inexperienced. Last time, I was not far behind. When I recover from my injuries and my strength returns to its prime, I will enter Tongtian Tower again, and I will be able to break through and get the Heavenly Tao Amulet. While muttering to himself, the old man's tone revealed a strong confidence, and at the same time, including the Mingguang realm, a group of top realm venerables from the upper 3 realms who thought they were not weaker than Lei Hong were all waiting to recover from their injuries before entering the Tongtian Tower and getting the Heavenly Tao Amulet. Then when you are ready, hit the 7th level of Xian. Even the weaker Wanja Jesuin who failed to enter the Tongtian Tower last time because of Meng Han's breakthrough is trying his best to further improve his strength and strive to get the Heavenly Tao Talisman next time he enters the Tongtian Tower. Not just myriad worlds. Even a group of saints in the outer world became restless after knowing Lei Hong's breakthrough. Certainly, the most restless person is Fang Yifan, the world's most respected powerhouse in the world of ascension. Fang Yifan, who got the Talisman of Heaven at about the same time as Lei Hong, has been preparing recently, but he is still not sure how to deal with the taboo realm of catastrophe, and has not taken a crucial step for a long time. One of the most powerful men guessed with a look of fear on his face. As soon as he said this, the expressions of the people around him changed. Isn't it? Even if Lei Hong's nephew was at the forefront at the time, he seemed the strongest, but didn't he not attack the god-defying realm in the end? It shouldn't be possible. Before junior brother Lei Hong left, I heard from him that he would find a sufficiently remote place to attract the forbidden heavenly calamity, and he would be as sure as Master Meng Han that he would completely cover his tracks. Then the three of you may not know where junior brother Lei Hong is surviving the tribulation. Senior brother Lei Hong left through the space. Even if the three of them followed behind, it is impossible to follow up accurately, and if they do, it is impossible to be unconscious. I think we should stop worrying. I have Lei Hong's soul card in my hand, and it is still intact and there is no abnormality, which means that his life is not in danger now. Now Lei Hong naturally doesn't know that the elders and senior brothers in his sect are all worried about his safety. At this moment, he is recovering from his wounds in a small realm in the 10,000 realms. Of course, Lei Hong didn't attract the taboo realm heavenly tribulation in this small world and crack it. He found another small world and arranged a way to hide it from the sky, attracting the heavenly tribulation and successfully breaking the catastrophe. Later, after he broke through, he came here to recuperate. I dare not go back for the time being. The current him, although his breakthrough and new transformation power have made his injuries mostly healed, but this time his injuries are too serious, and he still needs to continue to recuperate. Although with his current injured body, there is no pressure against him before the breakthrough. However, he had to guard against the existence of the other three Xeon 7th Orders. With his current wounded body, if he faced those three people, he would definitely die, and there was no possibility of him escaping. He has been cautious all his life, so it is naturally impossible for him to fall into a dangerous situation. If he does not recover from his injuries, he will not go back one day. However, as far as my remaining injuries are concerned, plus my current strength has undergone a qualitative change. At most a few decades, my injuries are enough to completely heal. Although it has been a while since the robbery was successfully broken, Lei Hong still couldn't help but change his face when he thought of the danger at that time. Too dangerous. He almost died. The scene at that time, not to mention narrowly escaped death, there were still mixed life and death. With a little bit of bad luck, he had already fallen under the taboo realm of catastrophe. It's no wonder that old man Meng suddenly changed his face when he mentioned the taboo realm of heavenly calamity. He bluntly said that without the fourth heavenly amulet, he would not be able to successfully overcome the calamity. Although he had heard Meng Han's warning at that time, until the moment he faced it himself, he still couldn't help the pressure increased, and even felt hopeless, thinking that he would not survive. But, thinking that he had successfully crossed the catastrophe with only the three amulets of heaven, Lei Hong's face softened, and the corners of his mouth showed a touch of color. Next, let's take a look. There are still a few people who, like me, can successfully break through the tribulation with just 3 heavenly amulets. Thinking of this, he couldn't help feeling a little proud. However, before he could be proud, 2 more names flashed through his mind, causing the smile on the corner of his mouth to freeze instantly. Those 2 guys. He didn't even have a talisman of the way of heaven. With his own strength alone, he survived the taboo realm and stepped into the 7th level of Xeon. Lei Hong's breakthrough shocked the world and the land outside the world. However, to Duan Lingtian it was just a small episode. Now he feels that his life is peaceful and easy, and he enjoys it. On this day, he heard that Xiao He, Xiao Bai and Xiao Jin, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, the 3 former little ones, all came here one after another when they learned that the land of the gods was his domain. He brought the 4 daughters to meet them immediately. Boss! The 3 little ones of the past have now turned into human beings, handsome men and beautiful women. Although they met Duan Lingtian a few years ago, it is inevitable that they will be a little excited to see Duan Lingtian again. Duan Lingtian was also excited. After all, when these 3 little guys were in the secular plane, they had grown up with him all the way, and their relationship with each other was no different from brothers and sisters. Duan Lingtian asked the 3 little guys what to do next, whether they want to enter the small world inside his body to practice. In the end, the 3 little guys all chose to stay in the land of the gods. There are so many people here. Except for Xiao He, Xiao Jin and Xiao Bai are not people who can stand loneliness. Chapter 4597. What Duan Lingtian didn't expect was that After the third little one chose to travel and practice independently in the land of the gods, the 4 girls around him also chose to go out to practice after staying with him for a period of time. According to their words, although no matter how strong they become, they may not be able to help him, but at least they will not become too much of a burden. Duan Lingtian could tell that the 4 girls had discussed it and did not stop them, but they were required to practice in the land of the gods, and if their lives were in danger, they should immediately crush the warning jade slips he gave. Once the warning jade slip is crushed, he will sense it at the first time, lock their location, and go to the rescue in time. When the 4 girls left, decades had passed since Lei Hong's last breakthrough. After Lei Hong, there is no 5th Xian 7th level existence for the time being. In the bright light world, Lei Hong's sect has been waiting for Lei Hong to appear all these years. If Lei Hong's soul card was not safe and sound, they were really worried that Lei Hong would be in danger. On this day, Lei Hong returned, and his sect shook up and down. Senior brother Lei Hong, why did you come back now? Many people are curious why it took so long for Lei Hong to return. After Lei Hong heard the words, he also told them about the situation he encountered after his breakthrough that year. He had to find a place to recuperate from his injuries and return after he recovered, so that he could protect himself against the 3 of them. Lei Hong's return surprised the people of the sect, and made everyone realize that there really was a 7th level strongman in their sect. Fang Yifan hasn't crossed the taboo realm to this day? Lei Hong asked his brothers, frowning slightly. According to Fang Yifan's understanding, after he broke through, Fang Yifan must not be able to hold back. I'm afraid it won't be long before they will take the initiative to attract the catastrophe of the taboo realm. He glanced inside the ring. Fang Yifan's soul orb was safe and sound, and there was no movement. Never heard of that. Facing Lei Hong's question, everyone shook their heads, and they didn't know the thoughts and whereabouts of the powerful Yuhua Jejia, who also got the Amulet of Heaven. What's more, the other party is not from the Mingguang realm, but from the Yuhua realm. Then he's calm enough. Lei Hong shook his head, then a cold light flashed in his eyes, and he said bluntly, I plan to attack those guys who used to be as famous as me in Mingguang realm. They are all expected to advance to the 7th rank of Xian in the future. Kill 1 person. And in the future there will be 1 less person who can catch up with me and stand shoulder to shoulder with me. Lei Hong has never been a kind person. Brother Lei, since the ancestor came out of the Tongtian Tower last time, he went back to the family and then went out. Shuezhu said, Do you know where he went? Lei Hong asked again. I don't know. Shuezhu shook his head, but smiled coldly in his heart. What he said was naturally a lie to Lei Hong. The ancestor of their Shui family, who left the family decades ago, after learning the news that Lei Hong had stepped into the 7th level of Xian. As one of the top world venerables in the Mingguang realm, Xuan, the patriarch of the Shui family, naturally knows Lei Hong quite well, and he can guess what Lei Hong will do after his return. So he evacuated early. If he continued to stay at Shui's house and Lei Hong came to the door, as long as he could kill him, he would definitely not let Shui's house go. If he was not there, Lei Hong would not dare to face the Shui family. Just like back then, the world lords of the Bright Light realm, as well as other world lords from the upper 3 realms and the middle 18 realms, wanted to intercept and kill Duan Lingtian after learning that Duan Lingtian from the God-defying realm had successfully passed the taboo realm. However, after hearing Duan Lingtian's harsh words, they all turned around and left. They are all worried about being liquidated by Duan Lingtian in the future. Old fox. Lei Hong cursed secretly in his heart, but he was not too surprised. When he came, he was actually mentally prepared for this. Perhaps the others also ran away? Not even bothering to say hello to Shuezhu, Lei Hong turned around and left, visiting the Mingguang realm one after another. The factions of those Jesuan who used to be as famous as him belonged. Sure enough, just as he thought, no one was there, so he withdrew early. What's more, he went to other Jesuan forces, the ones with only 1 Jesuan in charge, only to find that all those Jesuan had run away. Chapter 4598. All gone. Lei Hong, who threw himself into the sky again and again, naturally had an unpleasant expression on his face. He never expected that those world venerables in the Mingguang realm would be so wary of him. You all look at me like this? Back when Feng Qingyang was the 7th level Xian, I didn't see you like this. Lei Hong cursed inwardly. At this moment, he completely forgot that when only Feng Qingyang was the 7th level powerhouse, even he did not leave his sect. Just because Feng Qingyang guarded the Tongtian Tower and didn't attack anyone else, it can be seen that he is not a person who kills indiscriminately. Even when Meng Han's breakthrough in Bibo Tianfu in the outside world, few people left their own forces and ran outside to hide, and even few saints in the outside world did so. There are saints who do this, all of whom had conflicts with Meng Han in the past. Meng Han's character reputation is still very good in the world outside the world. As for Region, notoriously bad temper, killing indiscriminately, they all ran away too? After Lei Hong left the Mingguang realm angrily, he descended on the Yuhua realm and the Hongmeng realm, and the Hongmeng realm is also one of the upper 3 realms. However, he soon discovered, the world lords of the primordial realm and the ascension realm are on guard against him. Except for the forces with 2 or more world venerables at the same time, only 1 world venerable remained, and the rest of the forces with only 1 world venerable, those world venerables all ran away. Moreover, they basically left the lair and ran away after knowing that he had broken through to the 7th level of Xian. Damn it! Everyone avoid me. Lei Hong. Am I the kind of unreasonable person? Lei Hong roared with filial piety in his heart, and then turned his attention to the middle 18 realms under the upper 3 realms. Of course, he didn't dare to provoke the god against God realm. After all, it was a realm where 2 beings not weaker than him sat in command. However, in the other 17 realms, he didn't have so many worries. They all took a trip. In the end, it was discovered that the world lords of those 17 realms were also just not at home. In this way, Lei Hong could only return in vain with aggrieved feelings. And as Lei Hong suffocated and returned to Mingguang realm and Qinghong's sacred sect, those Jesuan who were hiding also received news one after another, knowing that Lei Hong had come to find them. Fortunately, he ran fast. That Lei Hong is really not human. It's fine to break through by himself, but he still wants to block our way. A few years ago, I saw that Lei Hong didn't come to the door, so I almost went back. Fortunately, I didn't go back. Otherwise, I'm afraid I have died in his hands now. What's the situation with Lei Hong? Before the birth of the 5th strongest and 7th level powerhouse, he received the news that a top world venerable in the feathered world, who was as famous as Lei Hong in the past, failed to cross the tribulation and died. I heard that it took decades for Lei Hong to show up after his breakthrough. It seems that there is no such thing as the power to heal his injuries quickly after the breakthrough, and his injuries have not healed, otherwise he would not have shrunk for decades. Duan Lingtian thought about what he heard before about Lei Hong's disappearance for decades after his breakthrough, and then related to Fang Yifan's demise this time. It is not difficult to guess this point. Yeah. Lei Hong must have survived the catastrophe after a narrow escape. Xiao Mubai nodded approvingly. As far as he knew, although Meng Han of Bibo Tianfu was also injured when he crossed the catastrophe, he, who had 4 heavenly amulets, was not seriously injured. The injury healed. This point Duan Lingtian also knows. Meng Han, shortly after the breakthrough, came to him to discuss with his master. Feather World. Fang Yifan's sect was dead silent. In fact, this was the earliest confirmation of Fang Yifan's death. As soon as Fang Yifan died, someone from the sect behind him discovered that his soul card was broken and confirmed the news of his death. When the news reached the ears of another Jesuan of the sect, the other party couldn't help but change his face and cry even more, like rain, because he is Fang Yifan's master. Fang Yifan is a monstrous talent, he is better than Blue, and surpassed him in his early years. Yifan. After a mournful cry, he also calmed down in an instant, and after explaining some things, he left the sect in a hurry. He didn't dare to stay in the sect anymore. Last time, Lei Hong came to their sect aggressively, and he received him personally. Although Lei Hong seemed friendly, he could feel the murderous intent hidden in Lei Hong. It wasn't until he told Lei Hong that his disciple Fang Yifan was not there that he felt the murderous intent hidden in Lei Hong dissipate, and then Lei Hong turned and left. It is conceivable that, when Lei Hong confirms that Fang Yifan is dead, he will definitely make a comeback. This time, if Lei Hong finds him, he will definitely not let him go. Last time, he was afraid of his disciple Fang Yifan hiding outside, and also worried that Fang Yifan would avenge him after breaking through. So he didn't dare to touch him. But now, Lei Hong has no such scruples. The two great world venerables of the sect, one died and the other hid, immediately made the whole sect mourn. Why did this happen? Why? That's right. The Holy Lord Lei Hong of the Qinghong sect has successfully crossed the tribulation, and has taken the most critical step. Why did Fang Yifan, who is as famous as him, fail to cross the tribulation? Fang Yifan, the patriarch, couldn't have been killed by that Lei Hong, right? Chapter 4600. More than 60 years ago, Lei Hong successfully crossed the catastrophe, broke through smoothly, and became the fourth strongest existence of the seventh level after the historical partition. This incident can be said to give a shot in the arm to all the venerables and sages in the 10,000 realms, and even outside the realms. They feel that the road ahead has already been explored, and the road ahead is smooth. And now, Fang Yifan, who was as famous as Lei Hong in the past, the top respecter in the world of feathering, an existence not weaker than Lei Hong, died in the taboo realm of catastrophe. Real or fake? Go and confirm. The Jesuan of the 18 realms in China did not dare to step into the Ascension realm easily, for fear that Lei Hong would wait there and attack them. Not everyone dares to go to the saints in the outer world. Only those who can find the relationship with Meng Han in Bibo Tianfu and go with Meng Han dare to go there. Fang Yifan is dead? Meng Han was also a little surprised. He didn't expect Fang Yifan to die. However, when he thought of the taboo situation he faced in the past, he was relieved again. It's normal to die. On the contrary, Lei Hong, who successfully crossed the tribulation successfully, has a certain element of luck. After Lei Hong broke through, he disappeared for more than 60 years before reappearing. It shows how deeply he was hurt in the Forbidden Realm. In this regard, Meng Han still has the most say. Meng Han, with a group of saints from outside the realm, crossed the border to the Yuhua realm, and arrived at the sect behind Fang Yifan, the Xuanheng Tianzong. When Meng Han arrived, many people from the upper three realms had dispersed, at least Lei Hongming had already left. However, the divine consciousness he spread out quickly confirmed a fact. Lei Hong did not leave. Hidden in the dark. Is this fishing? Meng Han frowned slightly, feeling that Lei Hong's situation was still too small. He had also heard about the fact that Lei Hong traveled to the upper three realms and 17 of the 18 middle realms not long ago, intending to kill all the respected realms. For this reason, he even went to the Mingguang realm himself to warn Lei Hong not to attack the saints outside the realm. In the land outside the boundary so far, he is the only existence of the 7th level Xian. As for Wuxia, there are already 3 of them. He is under a lot of pressure. Although he knew that with the personalities of those 2 from the Nishan realm, they would not easily make him an enemy. But he was also worried that there would be another 7th level Xian with the same personality as Lei Hong in Wuxia. At that time, Lei Hong joined forces with that person. If he wanted to attack him, how would he resist? At that time, he probably can only go to Nishan realm to find Duan Lingtian for help. Congratulations! Meng Han led a group of saints from outside the world into the Xuanheng Tianzong, and led by the Xuanheng Tianzong's guides, entered the simple morning hall just arranged for Fang Yifan. Meng Han was fine, his face was calm, and the group of saints who followed either changed their expressions or showed solemn expressions. At this moment, they have thoroughly confirmed. Fang Yifan is dead. Fang Yifan's master at such a time actually left Xuanheng Tianzong, It can be seen that he was also worried about being killed by Lei Hong, and worried that Xuanheng Tianzong would be ruined because of this. If Fang Yifan hadn't died, there was no need for the other party to leave. Call. Outside Xuanheng Tianzong, 3 figures appeared, headed by 2 young men, followed by a young man and an old man. The young man following behind is one of the world masters of the Nishan realm, Xiao Mubai. As for the 2 people in front, it is Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. Duan Lingtian and the 2 knew the way to the Ascension realm, but they didn't know the way to Xuanheng Tianzong, so they went with Xiao Mubai because Xiao Mubai had acquaintances here. My lord Duan Lingtian, my lord Feng Qingyang, the Xuanheng Tianzong is in front of me. The old man standing side by side with Xiao Mubai is a world venerable from the Feathering realm, and he was also the one who went to the Nishan realm to inform Xiao Mubai about Fang Yifan's death. Duan Lingtian and Feng nodded lightly, and then the 2 of them looked at each other as if they had discovered something. Then Chi-Chi looked in one direction. It seems that Lei Hong is still planning to hunt and kill the world respecters from all walks of life here. Feng Qingyang discovered that Lei Hong was hiding in the dark, and he had heard about Lei Hong's actions some time ago, so it was not difficult to guess what the other party was trying to do in the dark. Now, the world master of myriad worlds is afraid of this Lei Hong. After all, even Fang Yifan's master, another world master of the Xuanheng Tianzong, left immediately after confirming Fang Yifan's death. Am avoiding Lei Hong? Duan Lingtian nodded, and at the same time, there was a hint of disdain at the corner of his mouth. Duan Lingtian and the others flew another distance. Before entering the Xian Hengtian sect, Duan Lingtian was calm and gentle, but he stopped his body together, as if he had discovered something abnormal. Xiao Mubai and the old man beside him stopped and showed doubts on their faces. And the next moment, the 2 of them sensed a domineering divine sense sweeping from a distance, and it enveloped them in a blink of an eye. However, it is not shrouded in Xiao Mubai, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, but the old man beside Xiao Mubai. The old man's face changed drastically. Lord Duan Lingtian, Lord Feng Qingyang, it's Lei Hong. Lei Hong wants to kill me. You guys have to help me. Chapter 4601. It's Lord Lei Hong. Lord Lei Hong, are you trying to kill Master Zhang Shan? The few people who were about to leave and stopped to watch the excitement quickly recognized Lei Hong and Zhang Shan. Lei Hong is the top realm venerable in the Bright Light realm, and of course they can recognize him. In the past, they prepared many big scenes in the Eternal Transformation realm, and the other party showed up. As for Zhang Shan, even though he was not a top-notch world venerable, he was a Mingguang world venerable after all, so they could still recognize him. The most important is, Zhang Shan is the only Jesuin in the family behind him. Now, not only the upper 3 realms, but even a group of world venerables from the middle 18 realms have almost all hid away, fearing that Lei Hong would kill them. Lei Hong is a man with a strong personality, and he is notoriously ruthless. He was fine before he broke through, and there are many people who can check and balance him. Now that he has broken through in the 10,000 realms, as long as he doesn't provoke the God-defying realm, it can be said that he has no opponent and no one else can check and balance him. Master Zhang Shan actually showed up? Isn't he afraid of death? That's right. Even the other Jesuin of Xuanheng Tianzong left the sect and hid after the news of Master Fang Yifan's death was confirmed. Who are the 2 people in front of him? As Master Zhang Shan, they are willing to follow behind. Could it be that they are stronger than him? Top world respect? I don't know the young man next to Mr. Zhang Shan. The one in front of him is one of the 2 young men. I have seen him before. He is the first 7th-level powerhouse who appeared in Nishan realm after the historical cutoff. Grown-ups. At this time, among the few people, someone recognized Feng Qingyang. In the past, when the Tongtian Tower came down, Feng Qingyang sat in the Tongtian Tower and strictly controlled others to enter. At that time, in addition to a group of saints and Jesuin, there were many half-saints and half-step Jesuin who watched the excitement. And this person is one of the group of half-step world venerables. It turned out to be Master Feng Qingyang. The person next to him should be Lord Duan Lingtian, right? I heard some time ago that Lord Duan Lingtian is still a disciple of Lord Feng Qingyang. The legend of the two has already become a good story in the Nishan realm. No wonder Mr. Lei Hong didn't attack Mr. Zhang Shan directly, but let these two give him face. These two are not weaker than him. Nowadays, in the whole world, there are only 4 Xeon 7th level existences. I didn't expect that we were lucky enough to see them all at once. Several people were amazed, and they all felt that they were lucky.